Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Call to order, City of San Ramon Parks and Community Commission Services Commission agenda, regular meeting on September 11, 2024. We are 7:03. So 23 years back on this day, we had an event that hurt all of us. And we had a lot of loved people, a lot of relatives, a lot of known people we lost that day. So for their memory, I would request everybody to stand up and observe 30 seconds of silence. Madam Clerk, please let us know when the time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. All right. So Vice Chair Bridge, so can we request you to lead us to pledge of allegiance?
Love to do the pledge. Sorry. Right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll go item number 3, roll call. Madam Clerk, please.
Chair Mitra,
Present.
Vice Chair Breed,
Present.
Commissioner Dorlick,
Present.
Commissioner Keeney,
Present.
Commissioner Levy,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy,
Present.
Commissioner Osland.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, special items announcements, 4.1, swearing in of our new Parks Community Services Student Commissioner Tanisha Chawla.
We can see that. I can see it.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. State your name. I, Tanisha Chawla, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the State of California, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance, to the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation, or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully, discharge the duties, upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations, Tanishka. All right, we are moving on to next item, temporary employee of the month, Tyler Cortez, presented by Andrew Mendes, Recreation Coordinator.
Good evening, commissioners. So today we're here to recognize Taylor Cortezo as our employee of the month for the month of August. So Taylor began working with the City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services in May of 2024 as an assistant activity manager for Camp Central Summer Camps. Here at camp, we all know her as Sweets because of her love for making baked goods and all things sweet and sharing with others. Her passion for working with people began during her college years at Sacramento State, where she earned her bachelor's degree in psychology, followed by a master's degree in education with a focus in behavioral sciences and gender equity studies. She's a very intelligent young person, but even more importantly, she's a very caring and kind person. The moment you meet Taylor, she greets you with a smile and a positive attitude. When a camper arrives at camp, she always meets them at the entrance full of joy and excitement. I've personally seen the shyest of campers arrive on the first day to be greeted by Taylor and immediately come out of their shell. This type of positivity spread like wildfire, and after her first few days of camp, she had made her team of recreation leaders even more upbeat, productive, jovial as an entire group. Of course, we shouldn't be surprised that once camp ended, Taylor was desired by many divisions to work in their program areas during the year. She was trained and is now currently working at the teen centers, scorekeeping softball games, leading little dribblers classes, assisting with projects at Forest Home Farms, and much, much more. Thank you for Taylor for bringing joy and happiness to all the teens and youth in San Ramon. You're a valuable member of our team, and we look forward to having you on the team for many more years to come. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I didn't know I was speaking today, but if you know me, I'm not one with words, especially not in front of a microphone. So I will keep it short. Thank you to all who have recognized me today, everyone here who I have worked with, who has shaped me to be the employee that I am today, and giving me all these opportunities. So thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
Photo moment.
Congrats.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right. Moving on to item number 4.3, special announcements by our director, Kathy Hinman.
And of course, I always have a few things to share with you. So one of them that I want to draw some attention to this evening is at Memorial Park. So as you know, Memorial Park is the park in San Ramon where you can purchase a plaque, a tree, or a bench to honor a lost loved one. Well, this year we were approached by a family who had lost someone, and Commissioner Caney, before he was a commissioner, to purchase a plaque and a bench, but also they wanted to orchestrate the Yellow Tulip Project. I expect you all to go, the what? And it's a really, really wonderful program. And you can look it up online if you'd like. It's the yellowtulipproject.org. That I'm going to read this so I get it right. Yellow Tulip Project's core mission is to smash the stigma associated with mental illness and to build community to remind people that there's help and hope for those living with mental illness. Now, the basic gist of this is that not only are they doing the plaque and the bench and the tree to honor their lost loved one, but they're paying for the city to remove some brush that's not actually all that great looking at this point, and prepare the area so that they can plant tulips. And so they'll be planted in October. And then when we come around to the spring, they will be like Pier 39, maybe that's the vision, in one little section. And we'll be able to interpret that and be able to share that with the community. And it's called a Hope Garden. And so we're very excited that this family has taken this step and that we as a city can embrace it in that same place to draw light to people suffering with mental illness and the support that can be provided to them. That there is hope. If I missed something on that, Commissioner Caney, please help me out. But that's going on up at Memorial Park. And I just wanted you to know, once we get probably a little further into it, we can of course come back with another presentation of sorts. Also, just on the more just everyday average information we need to go through, Kathy Schiller updated the rosters and liaison assignments. So I think you've all got them at your places. And
Yes.
so if you see something wrong, if we've got a correction, please let Kathy know. We'll correct it and then we'll put it out again. Also, we have poet laureate interviews on September 25th between 5 and 7. And just confirming that Commissioner Lopez Lucy and Commissioner Osland have volunteered to do that. Those will be live interviews. So we're still making sure we're good with that. And then I do need 2 more commissioners to conduct interviews for the Senior Advisory Committee. We're hoping to do them next Wednesday, September 18th, somewhere in the range between 5 and 6:30. So I don't know if anyone knows off the top if they're available. Great. Kathy can also email you all out.
Are those live or Zoom?
Zoom,
Zoom.
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 All right, and then just a few upcoming events to let you know about. September 13th, the San Ramon Community Chorus Fall Concert. That's always fun. Those are free. September 14th, we've got OSAC hike of the Stream View Loop. And then we've got these clusters of events on some weekends. So it's kind of interesting when you put them in a list. Just about everything seems to happening really on 2 weekends. But on the weekend of the 19th to the 21st, we've got on Thursday, the 19th, the Live Well Resource Fair at the Senior Center. That's a really good event if you've never been. Then also starting that day, September 19th, 20th, 21st is the mega book sale that the Library Foundation is doing. And then as you move into September 21st, you've got the Hot Potato Bingo hosted by the San Ramon Senior Foundation and a Parks Make Life Better cleanup day at Creekside Park. So there's a lot to do on the weekend of the 19th, 2021. Then if you were not able to get out for all of that, then you hit the October 4th, 5th, 6th weekend, which kicks off with Durga Puja, which is a big community event that Commissioner Mitra is involved with. Then October 5th, of course, is the Oktoberfest presented by the Historic Foundation. Super fun. If you've never been to that, I think all of you have though. October 5th, that same day, we've also got Jazz at the Library. That's being put on by the Library Foundation featuring Kenny Washington. And then last but not least, by any stretch, is October 5th is the Crow Canyon Gardens Restoration Project Day. So a lot going on that weekend. And then the next weekend, which of course we'll have a commission meeting before it, but I do need to mention it, is the Run for Education is coming up fast on October 13th. This is that time of year where October, it seems like there's 10 things to do every weekend. So lots and lots going on in San Ramon. That's it.
Thank you. Item number 5, public comments or written communications. At this time, members of the public are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Services Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Comments should not exceed 3 minutes. During public comments, members of the public are permitted to address the commission on items that are not in the agenda and are within the commission's jurisdiction. No commission action can be taken at this meeting on issues raised during the public comment. Do we have any public comment today? All right. Moving on. Item number 6, 6.1 Parks and Community Services Commission regular meeting. I hope everybody reviewed that. We need a motion.
So moved.
Yeah.
Oh, push the button.
I do have a comment on that.
Oh, okay.
On 4.1, it says swearing in a new Park and Community Service Commissioner, Terry Keeney, and Student Commissioner. Well, we didn't get to we didn't get for our Student Commissioner, but the next clerk, it says just that we swore in Terry, but maybe we should take out in the Student Commissioner, take that out of the minutes.
I believe it states that she was absent and we signed her in
It wouldn't
today.
say later on, it said that she was absent, yeah. But I didn't know if that should be taken out or not.
It's probably the agenda.
I think that was the agenda item that's on the actual agenda, which is why they listed it that way. But I do hear what you're saying. So if it's the commission's desire, we can remove it.
Doesn't matter, but I just,
I mean, if we change, probably we need to do another motion, or can we go with whatever we have?
go with whatever you want. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just
Let's go
used to
ahead.
minutes and otherwise this would have to be taken out of.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I think we're good. If everybody agrees, then we can go ahead. Right? Okay, all right. Agenda item 7, commission business.
Oh,
First.
did you have your vote?
Oh,
We
sorry.
have to
Oh,
vote.
sorry. Yes, please vote, everybody.
Well, under some rules, you don't need to vote, but since it's, you need to get a visible vote.
Right.
Vocal vote.
All right, thank you. Passes 7-0. All right, coming back Item number 7, commission business. First item, 7.1, Doherty Station Community Arts Center update, presented by Adam Chow, Recreation Commissioner. Recommendation is receive report, provide feedback.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having me here this evening. I am very excited to be able to talk about our Doherty Station Community Arts Center. We have been open for just over a year now, with the grand opening on August 14th of last year. So we've got a year's worth of data that we wanted to share. I know a year goes by really quick, doesn't it? I'm sure you all remember just being there just the other day and on a nice warm day, just like it was last week. But we wanted to provide an update on what's been happening at the Arts Center. We're very excited about the different accomplishments that we've been able to do with the renovations and the different programming. So we wanted to be able to share that with you this evening. So first and foremost, we wanted to just remind the commission that we started this whole process of renovating the Arts Center from the Doherty Station Community Center based off of master plan goal. Be able to look at how we could be able to repurpose the use of that facility. And so we did a lot of work in regards to community surveys, focus groups. We had an art summit, be able to have discussions in regards to how we wanted to use the facility. And were able to create a program plan. And so after we started doing the renovation plans, we went through and created a program plan, which is what we integrated into this last year. And so I'm going to give you a basic update on what that program plan was. And so far, over this last year, we were able to implement a significant number of components based on that program plan of what we intended to do. We actually did a pretty good job of getting a good chunk of that in there. Obviously, there are still some things that we're working on or got delayed for different reasons, and we are going to continue to work on that program plan to be able to make those implementations. But we wanted to kind of give you an idea of where we started on this. And based off that program plan and based off that, the Art Summit and the different focus groups and the community surveys, we were able to create several different goals for the Community Arts Center. And so the overarching goal that we have is to establish the Doherty Station Community Arts Center as a hub for creativity with an inclusive and supportive environment for artists and art patrons to connect and be inspired. I mean, that sounds really great, doesn't it? So, and that was before ChatGPT. We didn't even use ChatGPT to be able to write this. So, but that's really what we've been focusing on. That's what we've really been using as our driving goal, as our staff and our committees have been able to work to make sure that the Arts Center is a vibrant, thriving place for artists and art patrons. So there's 4 goals that we've been working on as we were continuing to program and build around the facility. So the first was provide affordable art programs for teachers and students to benefit. And so what we did is we really worked on trying to find ways to be able to keep our classes relatively affordable. One of the things that we actually did this last year is we were able to create a waiver for insurance for low-risk programs for our instructors. So that way it could be able to help keep the cost down and also pass that along to our arts patrons and art students as well. That's one great thing we were able to do. Another thing we were able to do as well is be able to provide free and low-cost workshops. This is something we wanted to be able to do to try and be able to get people introduced to the facility, introduced to new programs. We were able to offer 68 free and low-cost workshops over the last year. And a large part of that was due to the support of the San Ramon Arts Foundation, which I will talk about a little bit later. The second goal that we really focused on was really focusing on more arts classes offerings. And so there's obviously a wide variety of arts programs, and our staff has done a really great job of being able to do that. And so we added 12 new instructors and 40 new classes and programs to our offerings, and we continue to add more even into this fall program period as well. And so we are offering a number of different new classes, and I'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. But the next thing that we want to do is be able to offer rental artist studio spaces for artists to be able to create. So those are the creative studios that we have in the facility. We are still working on that. It's still a work in progress, and I'll touch on that a little more. And the last one we've got is provide additional opportunities for artists to perform, exhibit, and sell goods. And so we've done a number of different special events, partnered with a number of different groups to be able to help provide those opportunities, be able to have different places for our artists to be able to perform at our different spaces, whether it's the Ridgeview Room, whether that's the Front Row Theater, exhibit in our galleries or at special events, and be able to sell goods, to be able to make a living. So these are the 4 overarching goals that we've been working on this year, and you'll see that we were able to touch on a lot of these and be able to accomplish a lot of those as we move forward. Programs and spaces. So with the renovation, we were able to move some things around, move some walls, knock down some walls, add some walls, and repurpose some of the spaces that we had. So one of the great things that we were able to do is really have that vision for arts and hearing from the community what our community needs in regards to those art programs. The Ridgeview room stayed the same. We made it a little more shiny, but it essentially stayed the same. The front row theater was not touched as much as well. We still continue to offer a number of programs. But having a focus as an art center really helped be able to build the rest of the rooms within this building, right? Having an art center with a theater in it, with a green room, which we were able to add. The two of those in combination were able to provide more amenities for our theater goers and also, for our theater rentals. So anybody who was performing, they had a space for them to be able to rest beforehand, changing rooms, dressing rooms as needed. So we were able to provide that. So we're excited about that green room, and it has been used for a number of different shows that we've had there. We expanded our dance studio. We actually doubled the size of our dance studio, which has been a fantastic opportunity for us. We have doubled the number of dance programs that we're able to offer in there based off the space, and also the number of dance rental programs. So the private rentals that are using that space is also significantly increased as well. So it's something that we've been very excited about, that our dance studio is being used, and people have seen the value in the expanded space that we have there. We also added 2 art studios, so repurposing some of the meeting rooms, as we called them before, and actually providing specialized equipment and specialized space. So that way we could be able to have a drawing side, so one specifically for drawing, painting, for visual arts, and then the second side we have set aside for a clay studio. So we have pottery wheels, and we have a kiln in there. And so there's a lot of different equipment that we have within that space that is specifically dedicated for our arts programs. We also repurposed one of our other meeting rooms to turn into a music room, which we're excited about as well. Music is one of our significantly growing programs that we have within that building. We have increased the number of classes from the previous year from 31 classes, 195 participants, to 56 classes with 362 participants. So we're nearly double the number of programs and participants within those classes. And our music programs continue to grow, and we continue to support those. Revamping a couple of other meeting rooms that we had, and actually adding a new room. We've actually have 2 community rooms. They're multi-use rooms, so we can use those for meetings. Right now, a lot of them are used for our drawing classes, drawing and sketching classes. And they're also actually overflow rooms for the music program. So one room for music may not necessarily be enough, but when you have a larger class that needs to break into sectionals, or a choir class or a vocal program that needs to break into smaller groups, we actually utilize all those rooms because they're all right next to each other, and it's really great for the instructor to be able to have those facilities together. So they're great additions that we've had. And I mentioned before our creative studios and our sound studios, and so I wanted to touch on those, about what we've been doing and what those really are. So the creative studios are repurposed offices that we had downstairs. And so we have 11 by 11 spaces that really weren't being used. And so one of the things that we had heard through our community surveys is that our artists really want a place to be able to go outside their homes, be able to work, be able to build. And, it's just like having not a home office, right? Everybody has a home office right now, but sometimes you want to get out of your home office and you want to go somewhere else, whether it's a library or Starbucks. Well, for artists, it's really hard to be able to do that, right? And so we were trying to find a way to be able to make that opportunity happen for our local artists. And so Creative Studios was the solution that we had, repurposing the offices that we had at that space. The creative studios are available for rent, and what we've been working on is being able to get applications out and be able to get applications back in. We've started the process back in April, where the applications went out. They were due back in May, and we're able to start running in June. We've got some interest in the program, so we've had about 10 people who've contacted me, give them tours, kind of talk through different things. But we've kind of hit a little roadblock in regards to getting them converted over into rentals. So we're still in the process of being able to figure out some of those sorts of pieces. We've gotten some feedback from some of those renters in regards to what it is that they're looking for, some of the things that we may not have. So we're trying to be able to make some of those adjustments to figure out what those are. Some of the feedback that we had heard from some of those potential renters were it didn't have enough ventilation. Obviously is really important for artists because of fumes, paint. If they were working in other mediums as well, we had an artist who was interested in doing resin, but that didn't have enough ventilation for that. So that's something that we're looking at doing. We had one person who was concerned with the monthly cost. It's $395 a month for a resident, and so they were concerned with that cost. And then we had a couple others who just wasn't the right time, right? And so they just couldn't find they weren't sure if they were able to use it for that whole month, or if continuously be able to utilize the full space on a regular basis. That was one. Another one also just wasn't the right time, right? And so we're trying to be able to make sure that it all works for everybody. So we are continuing to be able to advertise. We're continuing to be able to push the program, and we're going to be focusing on that over the next month or so to be able to try and make that happen. The next one that we have in that row of studios downstairs and row of offices, we converted 2 of those offices into sound studios. Currently, one of those studios is being rented out on a long-term basis to San Ramon Academy of Music. They're providing private lessons, 25 hours a week within the space. And so we've been able to sign a long-term contract with them to be able to provide those spaces. That does allow us to have a second studio that is open and available for the public to be able to come in and rent. We've had a number of inquiries in regards to podcasts or different band practices and different sorts of things. Some of our policies and procedures we're still working on to be able to make sure that it all works for everybody. One of the concerns that we've had is storage of equipment. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to store equipment. It's really come in and then leave. You got to take your stuff with you. It's not quite the same as the creative studios where you can be able to have that for the whole month and be able to store it there. So that was one concern that we had heard. So we're looking at that. Another one was lack of soundproofing. So the rooms aren't soundproof. They're sound dampening in there, but they are not 100% soundproof. So they're not like recording studios and that sort of stuff. So some people were looking for recording studios, equipment that are found in other places. You'll see that in a lot of studios in like Oakland and Berkeley. That's just something that we just did not equip our studios with. We really intended it for practice rooms, obviously, for students and for professionals, and for podcast recording is really what they were intended for. We did recently have somebody who is interested in recording, just obviously it's for them, it was not the right time. And so they're going to circle back with us. So that is something we're continuing to be able to still look at as we continue to move forward. That is also going to be advertised a little bit more, and we will try and continue to work through that to be able to get those creative studios and sound studios, be able to rent it out, as it was something that was identified in our surveys that local artists really wanted to be able to do. We are doing cost analysis right now, comparisons with other studios in the area. There aren't very many creative studios in the area or sound studios in the area. There's a lot in Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco, South Bay, but they're in the Tri-Valley, there are very few. So we're trying to find that sweet spot for what works for our artist community. And so we're kind of working on that right now. So we're excited about the spaces that we have going on. I did mention that we have a ton of new programs that we have offered. And so this is a sampling of those programs with the 12 new artists and 40 new programs. All of these have either been expanded or are new programs to the facilities that we have. And our arts coordinator, Rhiannon Thomas, has been doing a fantastic job in regards to getting all those programs lined up and situated. So there are still registration spots open for these classes. If anybody's interested, the fall session is starting right now. Put my plug in. So feel free to stop by sanramonrecguide.com and feel free to register for these classes. One of the things that we've done for this fall, especially, we've added a lot of adult classes. So we have a lot of midday classes. We have some drop-in programs. There's a lot of great opportunities for arts coming up for all ages, preschool, adults, youth, teens, and seniors. So feel free to check all of those out. Drop-in classes. So one of the things that we're looking at is continuing to expand on our drop-in classes. Our regular classes that you had just seen, they're usually offered like one day a week for a certain hour, those sorts of things. One of the things that we're trying to be able to look at is how can we be able to provide more flexibility for people who may not have a very consistent schedule. So it's flexibility and be able to come to classes when they want to be able to come, when they're able to come. Some people are traveling, different schedules. So we're trying to provide that flexibility for people to sign up for those one-time drop-in classes. They really work well for our dance and fitness programs. And so those have been ongoing for several years. We're working on our visual arts classes because most of the time they are skill building, but we're trying to find some opportunities on how we can be able to make each of those sessions be able to be individual skill development rather than building on the previous week or the previous skill. So we are still working on those drop-in classes. Drop-in studios. So this is one of the things that we're really excited about as we continue to build our arts community. One of the things about building an arts community is you need to have artists, and you need to have an opportunity for them to be able to get together and share, critique, provide feedback. And that's what we're really trying to be able to provide at the Arts Center, is provide that environment and that supportive environment for our local artists. So Drop-in Studios is one of those opportunities for us to be able to do that, where they can be able to come in, create, have a nice environment. We have a fantastic staff person, Warren, who is there every week. Actually, he's there 3 days a week because we do 3 different drop-ins. And he is a ray of sunshine, as I would say. So once you get there, he's very personable. And he is an artist himself and is able to create that artist environment for us. So we are still continuing to work on our drop-in studios where our artists can be able to come in. We've been averaging somewhere between 3 and 5 per week. We'd love to be able to see that around 10 to 15 artists. And we will make those programs adjustable to the needs. So we've got an artist, we have open studios for adults on Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. And we also have it available for teens on Tuesday evenings as well. And this is continuing over from the summer, as you kind of see right here with our little flyer. We did start it in the summer for our adults and also for our teens as well. And we're happy to be able to continue that into the fall session. They are free for the time being because we want to be able to encourage our artists to be able to come out and join us. So it is a free drop-in. Come, hang out, have fun, and enjoy yourselves. You do need to bring your own materials. There's no instruction, but it's a great opportunity to be able to meet other artists and be able to have some fun there. And I'd mentioned those low cost and free classes and workshops that we had offered. So they really are basically an opportunity for our community to be able to try new things. Come out to the center, make a visit, try a watercolor class, whether it's trying a drawing or painting class. We did a lot for East Asian brush painting, calligraphy. We did a lot of different visual arts classes this year. In addition to that, we have a great partnership with the San Ramon Academy of Music as our music programs are continuing to expand. And they offered 37 free music workshops throughout the last year. And that included a number of piano, that was cello, that was voice lessons, that was a number of different things for people just to try it out. And if they like it, funny enough, we have programs for them to be able to sign up and be able to continue that process. So it's a great opportunity to be able to try something, see if you like it. If you like it, there's opportunities to be able to continue and learn. Again, I want to thank the San Ramon Arts Foundation for being a huge sponsor, and you'll hear it again in this presentation, but they did help support and offset the costs for our teaching artists, because it's very important for us to be able to pay our artists, right? We don't necessarily want everybody working for free, especially artists who need to be able to make a living wage. And so we find it very important for that. So we do pay all of our teaching artists to be able to provide these free and low cost workshops, which is a point that we've been trying to make for all of our teaching artists. Arts events. And so this is one of the great opportunities that we've had to be able to expand the opportunities for our artists to perform, exhibit, and to be able to sell goods. Most of these, we actually were able to partner with different organizations or different people to be able to do. And I think partnering to be able to have successful events is going to be the next stage of what we're looking at, especially for a lot of the art programs. The first two on this list right here are things that we did in-house, Rhea and her staff were able to do. So we hosted a locals-only juried art exhibit and a reception, and that provided opportunities for our local artists to be able to participate in a juried art show, which is a judged art show. There's awards, there were ribbons, there were gift certificates from donations from our sponsors. We had an overwhelming response in regards to this show. We had 160 entries and over 80 art pieces were selected to be displayed. At the reception itself, we had about 250 people there, and it was a fantastic evening. You could feel the energy in regards to arts, and we're very excited about offering these types of events and having our community really support these types of events, and knowing that this is the direction that we want to be heading, and the community is very supportive of it. In addition to that, one of the things that we also offered in collaboration with one of our teen volunteers and our poet laureate is we offered a series of 5 teen poetry open mic nights that were open for teens and young adults. And so our poet laureate, Jennifer Jo, really took the lead on it. And we thank her for being able to create opportunities for our teens to be able to speak on stage, to be able to learn, get feedback. She also hosted some workshops in advance. So our poet laureate, kudos to her for being able to take another project on and be able to support the arts that we are doing here in San Ramon. And then the other events that we were able to partner on, we held the San Ramon Arts Foundation held a benefit. Yelp did an event at the Dory Station Community Arts Center, which was Yelp Paints the Night Red, which is an event for their Yelp Elite members. And the Arts Foundation accepted all the donations for it. And they've raised over $4,000 that evening that went back to the San Ramon Arts Foundation. So we're excited to be able to have events that we can be able to partner with the Arts Foundation. Again, the Arts Foundation partnered with excuse me, I'm going to skip that for a second. The Tri-Valley Studio Artist Tour is another event that we partnered with. It's a Tri-Valley event. There's about 40 different studios that host artists. I think there was about 80 to 90 different artists that showcased throughout the entire Tri-Valley during a specific weekend. And this is the first year that there was actually a studio in San Ramon that was able to host. Usually it's Pleasanton and Livermore and Danville. But we said we wanted to be a part of this, and they were very excited to be able to have artists within the within Ceramon. They created a nice bike tour for people to be able to visit the different locations. Unfortunately, it was a rainy weekend and it poured that weekend, but we were very excited to be part of it. And they got a lot of very good feedback that this site that we had was actually probably one of the most visited sites of the weekend. Partly because we partnered with the Children's Makers Market, which you'll see a couple spots down, which is another event that we partnered with to be able to provide opportunities for our youth in the community to be able to make goods and sell goods in an entrepreneurial way. So we were able to partner with a community member who had done one in the park the previous year and be able to make sure that this event was a success. So we partnered the two of them together, and by partnering multiple events together, you get a larger group of people to be able to attend. And so we're working to be able to find ways to partner with events, partner events together, partner people to be able to create a better success in the end. The Summer Youth Showcase, I'll go back to that. We worked with the Ceramon Arts Foundation and the Ceramon Performing Arts Group to be able to host a showcase for 4 different performing arts organizations, so that they're participants in their programs to be able to showcase what it is that they do. And so it was a nice collaboration between the School of Rock. We had we had the Ceramon Academy of Music, School of Rock. We had a theater production company, and we also had an Indian dance company come out. And so 4 different, very different genres of performances. And that was a very well-attended event as well. And then lastly on this list, we also we hosted the PTA Reflection Showcase reception at the Dory Valley Performing Arts Center as a partner with the PTA. And so we obviously are happy to be able to host community events within our space as we have it. So we're happy to be able to do that. I talked about our locals only art gallery show that is in the art gallery that we have at the Dory Station Community Arts Center. And we're really excited about the expanded art gallery space that we have there. So we took out the registration area previously. We added about 300 something square feet of space there. So in that picture there, that is part of that new gallery space. It's a little bit wider open. We do have opportunities to be able to put freestanding panels in there so we can add more space. We're in the process of purchasing pedestals to be able to add 3-dimensional art in there, things that we haven't had in other facilities in opportunities. So we're very excited about the art gallery and the opportunities that we've been able to have. In addition to hosting the locals only juried art show, we also hosted the Youth Art Month. And actually all 5 of our art galleries, we hosted Youth Art Month in the month of April. And at the Dory Station Community Arts Center, we hosted middle school student art, which we're excited about. And then one thing that we added at the Art Center is in the second floor. We didn't have a gallery upstairs in the second floor permanently, or it was used to be permanent artwork that the city had as part of our collection. So the Arts Foundation again stepped up and was able to provide a donation for the gallery system that we have at on the second floor, be able to showcase student artwork for any of the students who are producing art in the classes, in the classrooms that are literally right there in the art studio. So it's an opportunity for those students to be able to showcase, exhibit their artwork because they may not have the opportunity otherwise. And also an opportunity for us to be able to promote the programs and for students to be able to see what's happening on other days or other times when they're not there. Because, I'm here for this watercolor class, but I didn't see what happened in the acrylics class or the anime class or the other sketching classes that are there. So it's a great opportunity for students to be able to share their artwork in that space. Facility rentals. So we continue to offer facility rentals at the facility. That is a way that we can be able to help generate revenue to be able to offset costs that we have within the facility and in the departments. Over the last year, the rental reservation numbers have kind of been all over the place because it's really hard to compare apples to apples when we've changed rooms, we've moved things around, we've been closed for a year. I've gave you a comparison of the numbers of where we were from the year before we closed to the year that we just currently have. So you'll see that there's some numbers that may not correlate exactly based off of that. One thing that you will see in this list is you will see that our small meeting rooms, there's fewer reservations and rentals in the smaller meeting rooms. The real reason for that is that because we are still working on developing a lot of our rental clients to be able to use those spaces. Being closed for a year has been difficult for us because a lot of the ongoing rental clients that we had, HOAs, some of our regular clients use us for meetings, those sorts of things. They've obviously found other spaces in the year that we were closed. So we're really trying to be able to regain a lot of those rental clients back. We ended up losing an ongoing church rental that we had. So we're still working on being able to get some of those ongoing rental clients back. But the one exciting thing that we have to show is that our theater rentals are up. And so that's really exciting for us because we have been really focusing on being able to get the theater rentals. And the theater rentals, fortunately for us, because of the longevity, the number of hours that they rent and the costs associated with it, it's able to help us generate additional revenue within this time frame. So the facilities team is definitely working on being able to increase our facility rentals for the Ridgeview room, especially and some of our other studio spaces and meeting rooms. But it's something that is going to be an ongoing goal. We do rent out a year in advance, so having the facility open now, you'll continue to see a lot more of those big parties in the Ridgeview room again, and a lot more of those ongoing rental reservations. And future activities, there's a long list here of things that we're looking at to be able to do over this next year, but it's really exciting for us to be able to continue to look at what we've already done over this last year and where we continue to be able to go and be able to and have opportunities to be able to grow. So the first one is continue to develop high demand programs such as ceramics in the theater. Our youth theater classes, we're still continuing to work on those. Ceramics, obviously, we're still working on those. Those are two programs that we saw within our surveys and continue to see within our surveys that are that the community wants. So we're continuing to build and develop those programs. Continue to research facility enhancements such as ventilation in the art and creative studios and replacing art studio sink basins. Just looking at what we currently have, some of the tweaks that we might need to make, as we learn what this facility space is and what our needs are over the last year, continue to be able to look at those and see how we could be able to make enhancements to our facility. Develop visual art drop-in classes to provide flexible options for students, as I had mentioned previously. Increase attendance and expand mediums for drop-in studios for adults and teens, and that's something we're very excited to be able to offer. Increase rental occupancy for the creatives and sound studios. As I had mentioned before, we definitely want to be able to get some people in those rooms, so trying to figure out the best ways to be able to do that. Display 3D artwork in the art gallery, which we will be having, I believe, in November. We have a 3D art display that's going to be in there, so we're excited to be able to do that. Implement 2 annual juried art shows. We did one already earlier this year, and we actually are in the process of doing the second one right now. We have, it is our second juried art show that is open to anybody, so it's an at-large art show. The theme is based around connections, and so the connectivity between a number of different things. It could be between people, it could be between us and the earth, it could be pretty much anything you want it to be. Connectivity is the theme of the show, and I believe the applications are due on the 15th. I'm looking at Ree because she knows all the days. It is the 15th. We're also looking to finalize marketing and outreach plan to promote the programs, events, and amenities at the Dory Station Community Arts Center. That's something we've continually been able to do. I want to be able to continue. I want to be able to create a concrete plan of what that plan of action is going to be for us as we continue into this next year. Also develop a volunteer program to provide additional assistance for programs, galleries, and marketing. This is something that we've been excited about to be able to try to do. We actually have a team of teens that work with Ree on a regular basis to help her out with flyers and marketing opportunities, social media. They're looking on a newsletter. So looking to be able to expand that program that we have with our volunteers in a number of different ways. Explore the development of a mural program within the facility. We do have a call for artists right now for 2 stairwell murals within the facility, but also looking at how we can be able to put other murals within the facility as well, because we have a lot of open space and a lot of white walls that we want to make sure that are utilized. And then commission a new exterior facility sign. So the traditional monument sign that we have outside the building has the wrong name on it, so we obviously have to change it. So we're looking at finding a way to be able to commission an artist to be able to have a piece of artwork that is done that can be able to have the name of the facility built into it. So that's a process that we're starting to work on. And then I presented this report to the Arts Advisory Committee on August 21st, just a few weeks ago, and they provided some feedback for us that we're going to be taking a look at. A lot of it is regards to the creative studios and how we can be able to better utilize the creative studios. So we appreciate that feedback. I included providing free and trial discounts for using the space, be able to, as we had done this last year, doing a lot of trial, figure out what works, what doesn't work. So they suggested that. Exploring partnering with local arts groups, such as the Visual Arts Society of San Ramon, to generate interest in the creative studios. Explore advertising with the creative and sound studios and the Recreation Guide, WhatsApp, and social media. Partnering with the library's podcast classes to promote the use of the sound studios for recording podcasts. Adding open mic night events for adults, not just for teens and young adults. And expanding the advertising and outreach for programs and events at the Dory Station Community Arts Center. So these are all very good feedback that we received from the Arts Advisory Committee. And I would love to be able to hear your feedback, questions, and anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. All right, this is time for clarifying questions, please. press your button if you have any questions. I see Terry.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hi, Terry.
Good to see you. Just one quick question. I'm wondering the difference between the Doherty Station and the community center. I mean, I know there are a lot of similarities as far as the facilities concerned, but like from a programming standpoint, do you intentionally try to make sure that there's variety between those two spaces?
Yeah, and we are definitely using both spaces to be able to provide arts programs. So the Doherty Station Community Arts Center, we do really focus a lot heavily on those art programs in that facility because we have the infrastructure, right? We have the rooms and those sorts of things. The nice thing is at the San Ramon Community Center, we also have those as well. We have an art studio
Yeah.
at that space. We do have a kiln. So we actually are programming there. We're programming at the senior center as well. So we do provide different programs at different spaces, just depending on what the room allocations are and what those amenities that we can be able to offer, depending on those spaces. So yes, not all the arts programs are just in one facility.
Right.
We do also have them spread out at different areas as well.
Thanks.
All right, Commissioner Levy.
Sure. Hi, Adam. My clarifying question was about the free or reduced cost programs and the drop-in ones that are being offered. It's great to see those. Are those sort of being really pushed to kind of like spread the word about these new facilities and programs to the community, and then they might be scaled back a little bit in the future, or is that kind of intended to be a sort of permanent arrangement?
Yeah, that's a
That's
great question. And so what we've started last year, the first year, obviously, I think it definitely was to be able to get a lot of people in there and be able to try different things. This year, as we're going into it for this year, we're doing a combination of things. So the music program, they are still continuing to be able to offer those free and free classes. As a matter of fact, my daughter was at one this evening for teen music production. So we were trying new things out, right? So one of the focuses that we're looking at for this year is to be able to try and convert some of those into some lower cost workshops instead of all being 100% free. So low cost for us is usually like $10. Sometimes it just needs to be able to cover the fee, sometimes for the supplies, sometimes it's just to be able to cover the instructor, but we're trying to be able to get those low costs to be able to get the opportunity to be able to try something new at that low cost of entry.
Thank you.
Commissioner Osler.
Thanks, Adam. My question's a little bit out in left field here, but I wanted to ask about the kitchen. Is it comparable to the kitchen that we have at the community center here? As far as like all, the ovens and
Yes. So the kitchen at the Doherty Station Community Arts Center is a full commercial kitchen. It's actually a little bit larger than the San Ramon Community Center. It's actually designed for demonstration as a demonstration kitchen. So we've actually added a couple culinary art programs into that space this year, but it is 100% a commercial kitchen ready to use, whether it's with rentals in the Ridgeview room, whether it's cooking classes or programs, we do use that space.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I think, looking at the stats that you gave us in the report, it looked like the kitchen was down as far as rental. So is there a reason for that?
I think it just depends on our types of rentals that we have. So some of them need the kitchen, some of them don't need the kitchen. It all varies. Like some of our larger events that, they're serving meals, they'll definitely need to be able to use the kitchen. Or if they're catered, they may not need to be able to use the kitchen. So it all kind of depends on the rentals that we're getting in.
Okay,
So it all
thanks.
varies.
Thank you. I see Commissioner Coney, you have that. Do you still have that question?
Oh,
or-
no, I'm-
Oh,
thank you.
Any other questions? Student Commissioner, please go ahead.
So thank you so much for your presentation. It was great. So starting with like your youth like makers market, I was just wondering like what the age range was for this event, or was it like specifically pertaining towards like children or teens as well?
Yeah, so it was basically a like 5 to 18 age range. So it was a very full age range. It was a packed event. I think we got like 60 applications and we could only take 35 vendors. So there was a lot of age ranges, a lot of different types of things that they were selling, whether it was jewelry, there was a lot of jewelry, there was a lot of different arts and crafts types of things. So there's a lot of different variety that was there that day.
That's great. And then for the volunteer opportunities, are these like just pertaining towards a certain group of teens that you already have, or are they posted on like City Lights or like contacting schools, or is it just like one certain group?
So right now it's just a certain group because they had interest and they contacted us and said, hey, we're interested in doing this. One of the things we're trying to be able to build over this next year is how do we create a official volunteer program?
For sure.
We kind of unofficially did things to be able to try and, as we're getting things rolling, getting things started. But we want to try and formalize some of that and to say, hey, this is the opportunities that we have. Because I know that talking to the teen council last year, there was a lot of people who were really interested to get involved in what they can be able to do and how they can be able to help out. So it's just be able to create that process of what those things specifically are. are and how can we be able to make sure that they have the proper support and supervision to be able to do that.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Commissioner Osland, do you have any other questions on the last one? Okay, all right. Great presentation, Adam. Really appreciate that. Just one comment is like page number 13, where we are comparing the rental room numbers of rentals. I mean, 21, 22, and 23, 24, there is a difference because the utility of the center was different, right?
Yeah, so there's a significant difference between 21, 22 and
Right.
23, 24.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm just looking at the number 289 and 166. I just wondering if it's a fair comparison because there's two different purposes, right?
Really, it's apples to oranges.
Yeah.
There are two different comparisons because some of these rooms don't exist anymore. So if you take like the East-West meeting room and room 104, which those two rooms don't exist anymore, if you take those two out, we're essentially the same.
And-
So it is an apples to oranges comparison, but we wanted to provide an opportunity for you to be able to see where we're at currently, especially where we're at in regards to revenue.
Right.
And then we have a good comparison for next year as well.
Next year as well, yes. I see some of the things at big drop. One of the things Commissioner Osland brought up, the kitchen. The other ones like 40 to 90, which is the north-south meeting rooms and all those areas. We talked about creative studio and sound studio. So we know that I know we are working on that. Is there any other things that we are working on in overall increasing the number of rentals?
Yeah. So one of the things especially for like the art studios, we're not renting those spaces out as much anymore. And so the reason for that is because we have a lot of equipment in there. We have a lot of specialized equipment. So a lot of that stuff can't be rented out at the rate that we were doing it before, because they're essentially different uses. So when it was called the North-South meeting room, it was basically an empty room that didn't have anything in it. Now we have like pottery wheels and, drying racks and all kinds of other things that we have in there. So you'll see that there's significant difference. Like 9 rentals is because we had a soccer group in there that was like, you know what, we're going to do I think it was the coaches or referee training for like 3 days. So that's actually what it was. So they found a space and they're like, all right, we'll use it. And that was at the very early end of when we were starting to be able to do programs or do rentals. So realistically, we've gone away from rentals in certain spaces. And so that's why you'll see that there aren't any rentals in like the music room, because we're not renting that out anymore. But so this chart in itself is not a really great comparison. So overall, next year, you'll definitely be able to see a better comparison of where we're at versus, kind of this apples to oranges comparison.
All right, gotcha. Thank you. Any other question? Otherwise, we can move to public comments. Public comments. Okay, all right. We'll go move on to commission comments. Please press the button. Okay. Osland, you still have that? Any other comment? No? Okay, all right. You've been there up there for a while now. All right, Commissioner Braid.
Sure. Hey, nice showing your presentation, by the way. I like the transition between slides. That was great. Couple comments. First of all, I love how you've been focusing on keeping it cost effective, especially the way the world is, and the work that you've done with the insurance part with all the instructors, I think is pretty cool. So to help them, help drive costs out. So I think that's awesome. And then also, it's interesting, the diversity of programs we offer in that Doherty Station is pretty cool. So, and it sounds like we're in touch with the community and we continue to be in touch on what we need to offer. So we're looking around the corner. It's what it took out of. So just some ideas, if you don't mind, some builds. One is, you already grabbed the Poet Night for adults. I was like, oh, that'd be, and I saw that, but I saw it on a plane. So anyways, the other big one is like local authors. I don't know if we local authors and books and stuff. I don't know if that's a pillar that you've thought about. Not that we thought you are the person now, but that we thought about chasing, and is that, do we have local authors, or can we bring authors, especially into the theaters, which would be kind of fun. The other thing is I've been thinking about, or I'm wondering about, what do we do with all the old art and the Art and Win Festival artwork? And you're talking about the staircase on how we're trying to put a collage in there, but is there a way that we can keep the history of Art and Win? Is that a possible use of that space from a standpoint of, the artwork that goes in there, the amount of effort? And, I've always wondered, what do we do with it when it's over? Is that a great way to preserve the history of that really big event? So it's an idea for your stairway. I would say on the report, I was going through the master plan. You know, are we touching all the things that are on the master plan as we're going through, you know, Doherty Station, what we've done? It looks like we've had touched on that. Be helpful to call that out, that we're really focused on making sure we're delivering on that. So I think you have, and I looked at, you know, going back and forth to measure, it looks like we have, but it'd be great to call it out that we've got it accomplished as we go through some of these reports. And then the last thing is, I just said share and reapply. Are we sharing reapply? Is there other cities? And I know you are really totally plugged in with a lot in the state, but is there anything that's happening in other cities or other counties through a lot of the networks I know that you're involved in that we can reapply here in the city? Or how do we share our best practices outside? And are we doing that? Because you're doing that. Oh, my last one, sorry, second last, is the juried. I love the juried art program. And I was like, how do we tie teens into that, right? And I know you have, but is there a way that we can reach more teen artwork? And I think that'd be pretty cool. I know you have done, but how do we do more of that? So that's a lot, but you know, there was a lot to read, so I figured that a lot of comments, right? So thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Dolly.
Oh, okay. Hey, Adam, long time no see. It's much better the second time around.
You're welcome.
So I just want to make one comment. When we're looking at the, whoops, sorry. When we're looking at the room rentals, the per rental revenue is basically 2 times what the previous per rental revenue was. So we're making much better use of the revenue availability in that sense. So there's a higher revenue accrued on the art side than just kind of on the, you know, kind of like room rental side. So I think there's a premium there that we can continue to leverage and exploit.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
Well, thank you, Adam, for a great report. And reading this, I was almost tired because there is so much going on.
Art's
that
not easy.
It isn't easy, I
That's
know.
fine.
And so I commend you. I think you've done an outstanding job on it. So, and the art, I just wondered when you said, what room did that, what did you said, the referees or something rented?
Oh, the art studio?
Is that how much does that, how many seats do you have in there, or how many does it hold?
The art studio in itself can hold about 20 to 25 people,
Okay.
depending on how you
What is
configure
that?
the seating.
And then it would be a very good idea of thinking of the authors, because we have one of our women's club, Alamo has a every year in October, I think it is. They fill you know, they rent it with, they have food and everything. So I mean, you could have this here because we have the kitchen and everything. So that would really be something to look into, because they really get some good authors that come and they don't have any problem of getting them. So that would be something that would be really interesting that you could have, and we could listen to authors to see if you wanted to read their books or whatever.
Great.
So that's it. But thank you for your hard work. It's very good.
Thank you. Commissioner Levy.
Sure. Thanks, Adam. Again, I'll echo my fellow commissioners for a terrific report. I'm really just, it's amazing how far the Doherty Station Community Arts Center has come. I definitely remember it back in the early days when it first opened, when I first met you through the teen council at that point. To see like the whole new focus, new mission, new facilities, new programs, new everything, and have it be so successful so early, I think is a huge testament to how much this community cares about arts. And I think there's a lot of progress that can continue to be made. There's a lot of experiments that we can try, a lot of programs that we can, you know, try out offering, see how they go. So I think it's really exciting that the possibilities are kind of endless, and I think things are moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comment? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chair Mitra. I wanted you to explain a little bit more about the development of a mural program within the facility. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like or what you guys are thinking?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're thinking about is that we've been approached by the Cal High Mural Club and trying to figure out how we could be able to work with local artists and teens to be able to have a mural program within the facility. So looking at temporary murals and how do we make that work and what do we need and what's the cost, and so developing the guidelines for that. So that's something that we'll be taking a look at over this next year as we are starting our first mural project with professional artists over, I guess, probably by next year, we'll have it in place in 2025. So we've been looking at murals because we have some exciting wall space that we can use. So we're definitely looking at trying to figure out how we could be able to use some of their space, be able to integrate some more artists of a different variety and a different medium.
Thank you. I think that's exciting too.
All right, go ahead, please.
First, I think that like the open mic night was like a really good event. I heard a lot about it through my school. A lot of teens that attended. They really enjoyed it. So I think like doing more of those and keeping those going is really important because I heard that like it was a really good place to like speak your voice and really like show like what you've been thinking to a group of teens who feel the same way or are also passionate about topics. Same with the Makers Market, as you mentioned, there was a lot of engagement. I heard a lot about it at my school and other schools as well. So of course, just like keeping events like this, I think is super important. And as you can see, it's really created an impact on the teen community. Also some ideas that I have is like through schools, like we have a lot of different clubs, like whether it's dancing clubs, we have a Bollywood dance team, we have a K-pop dance team. There's so many like ranges of like cultures that are represented in our schools' arts programs. So I think if there's ever any opportunity for the programs to really perform or showcase what they've been working on through school on a wider range would be super impactful on the clubs itself. So if you ever have like any events that you think that you would like a performance in, I think it would be really cool to reach out, especially to these teen populations who are already working on things similar to this. And then also going back to the volunteer conversation, I think it's one really good way you could get potentially more volunteers is contacting the National Honor Society or California Scholarship Federation, because these clubs are always looking for opportunities to give to their members. So if there's ever like any events where you need setup help or cleanup help, I think this is the best place to look for volunteers, because there's over like 300 students in these clubs, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of engagement. But yeah, overall, I think there's been a really good impact on the teen community itself. And I think one of the teen council's main goals for this year is really bringing out the marketing for these workshops that you're talking about, because I feel like they're not as brought out in our community as much as in our school communities. So one of our main goals is definitely to like reach out to our admin to have them post these events or post these opportunities so more students can really get to explore all these avenues for it.
Great, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Great feedback, Student Commissioner Chola. Only thing I'll say, if you want to speak, there is a button called speak. Just press that so that you'll be in the queue. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just saying, it is your first day. So yeah, it is your first day. So, all right. It is a great thing. Lot of lot of things. The only thing I would say, this is the first year. I think we had a great start. Kudos to all of you and all the staff members. It is a great start. I know there are some of the things that needed to be tightened or do something. So we guys have correctly identified those, and I'm pretty sure you guys will be start working on that. I am looking forward for the next year, how good that will be, because first year starting something new is always challenging, always very challenging on that. But you already got a lot of good foot forward. So thank you, and thank you for you and your team and everybody who took care of that center and taking care of that center. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Right. All right. Moving on to 7.2, 2024 Art and Wind Festival Review. How exciting. This is very good. Presented by Steve Cox, Recreation Supervisor, and recommendation is receive, report, and provide feedback. Hello.
Hello. Well, I'd like to start. Thank you, Chair Mitra, the rest of the commissioners for having me here tonight. My name is Steve Cox, and I am the lead staff that oversees the Art and Wind Festival. I work for the Parks and Community Services. And tonight we're going to review the 2024 Art and Wind Festival, and then maybe at the end turn our attention to the 2025 Art and Wind Festival, which is coming. Oh, I gotta put it on. Cue it up. Sorry, Kathy, I was looking to you and I was like, that's me. All right, there we go. Now we have the Art and Wind Festival up here. The Art and Wind Festival is a family-friendly celebration in San Ramon that brings people together to enjoy a wide variety of fine art vendors, entertainment, food, and children activities over the Sunday and Monday of Memorial Day weekend every year. As you can see, the festival started as a street fair in 1989, and since then has continued to grow and be part of the city of San Ramon. Every year we like to highlight, the past years that we've done it. This past year in 2024, we had over 150 fine art vendors at the festival. We have had over 4 stages that we have different entertainment acts on. We have our professional choreographed kite flying, which is pretty unique to the Art and Wind Festival. We have 2 kid zones. One is an amusement area that has 15 amusement rides and games, and that is in the Iron Horse parking lot. We do a free kite making workshop, which if you ever go out to fields 2 and 3, you'll see hundreds of kites in the air. And if you come after the festival, you'll see hundreds of kites in the trees throughout the park. We have 2 food courts, and this year we had 25 nonprofit food and beverage vendors at the festival, which is great. A little bit, we'll go into that a little bit, and it did expand. We had 28 commercial business vendors. We had 30 information alleyway vendors, and we had 7 different activity vendors. Activity vendors are the vendors that you would go up and you make something traditionally, and then you can take away. Like we had a slime kit. So if you like slime, I'm sure we will have it back out there. The graph here that you're seeing here is a little bit of a snapshot of kind of where we were pre-COVID and then what we've been trending post-COVID. And you'll see on this that we're 2 years removed there, 2020 and 2021, in which the Art Wind Festival did not take place. So that is a little break there. What you kind of want to look at though, pre-COVID, in terms of food vendors, we had 16 and 20. We do get a lot of feedback, more food, diversity of food, changes in food. And so especially this last year, we worked really hard to try and meet that challenge. And so we identify a nonprofit, we work with different food providers, and we try to provide as great a variety as we can. Our nonprofit vendors, these are the ones on Information Alleyway, and these were ones that people provide information for local nonprofits, traditionally here or around San Ramon. And that's been growing as well, as people provide a lot of wonderful services, and it's a way for them to get information out into the community. And then, as I mentioned, our activity vendors and then our business sponsor vendors. And we have been working diligently to also increase both our business sponsors, and these are usually in a set area in front of our community center, as well as this year, and we'll talk about a little bit, where we have dedicated areas where sponsors can become the sponsors of that area for a little bit extra, but that also helps the festival, helps offset certain costs, but also increase our capacity to have more sponsors at the festival. Some of the additional highlights, though, overall, vendors, number of vendors, overall participation was up. We work with a partnership with Sports Basement, which is across the street, and they were out on the Iron Horse Trail as a bike valet, and that's very exciting, especially with the construction of our pedestrian bridge, as that is coming. And when it is completed, I know it's going to be a big part of the festival as we look forward to that in the future. We did have our poster signing by our commission artist, Rhonda Chase, and I'd like to thank the Arts Advisory Committee. Every year they do a wonderful job of going out and requesting artists to come up with a unique picture for the Art and Wind Festival. That artwork is then put into our collection. And I know in the previous presentation, Commissioner Breed mentioned it. Some of that artwork is at some of our other community centers that you can find. And so it is out there. And we do want people to continue to enjoy the Art and Wind Festival artwork that's created each year. We have an interactive bubble demonstration by one of our vendors that's out on Field 5. I think I mentioned this last year, but if you ever wanted to become a professional bubble smith, that is a profession. So, but the kids love it. It's just a great time to go out there. We did introduce what we called an avian education and demonstration area where we work with one of our newer staff to incorporate, and with the theme of wind and flight. There was a bird rescue. There was a scout troop out there that helped build owl boxes for us, and just to learn about different birds in our community and their natural habitats, and then also that rescue aspect. We have the ever popular helicopter landing that we work with our auxiliary Coast Guard on. And then we also increased some of our ADA parking available. That's been a request both at the Iron Horse parking lot, and more predominantly we do in front of City Hall here. We try to provide that. So you have two ways to come into the festival with ADA parking. A little more into our food and beverage vendors. It's something very unique to the Art and Wind Festival. And so the local nonprofit food vendors, they provide a significant opportunity for nonprofits to promote their organization and raise funds, often serving as a crucial part of their annual fundraising efforts for their nonprofit. They're also a very big part of the festival. And those funds that they raise for their nonprofit many times come back around and go back into the community. Some of the notable nonprofits, just to mention, San Ramon Rotary is a big participant, Diablo San Ramon Valley Rotary, the Scouts, the Girl Scouts, 4-H, Agamony, Cal High Interact. They're all nonprofits that traditionally provide different variations of food and beverages at the festival. And then, of course, as the nonprofit, they receive the funds from that. And then because I did mention we did have several new vendors out there. Let's see if this works. Oh yeah, then we even have a little video here. As you go out and look at what we had this year, we did introduce new foods. So we had new hot foods. We had a barbecue station. We had dumplings. We had samosas. We had some cold food, which included cotton candy, shaved ice, and frozen yogurt. It was a little more on the warmer side for some, so those were popular. And then we had different beverage vendors this year, one offering sugarcane juice and then also boba teas. And so kind of with the trends of where things are going, we're trying to also meet that as well. So this is a more expansive look at what food and beverage vendors have done over the years, going back to 2005. I know it's a little bit small. One of the things you can see, that green line is the overall number of food vendors. Part of what I've understood is when it started, also the city of San Ramon has 4 foundations that are a big part of our city. Over the years, the foundations have changed the way they've participated. So at the end, we haven't had as much foundation participation directly, but we have seen more nonprofit food vendor participation. And this is just kind of, as you can see, it goes back to 2005. So we're back to some of the highest levels we've had. I think it's actually the highest outside of 2011, if you count the foundations to that. Over the last few years, a big part of the festival and sort of meeting the needs of our community, there's been a few assembly bills passed, there's been a few city policies passed, and that is how to curtail the overall waste at the Art and Wind Festival. And so the festival has focused on reducing waste and eliminating single-use plastics by promoting reusable and compostable items, aligning with the Trash-Free San Ramon initiative. The assembly bill that you see here requires recycling, organics, and trash sorting opportunities to collect waste generated on the premise. And then the city of San Ramon has also recently banned all polystyrene foam food where under Ordinance 525, basically styrofoam, anything that used to have styrofoam with it. We now ask that the food vendors provide some version of a compostable. The easy example is the clamshells. You see sometimes that they're like a paper-based, a pulpable-based clamshell. Sometimes they're not. So we have asked all the food vendors to move to that. We've also provided those 3, both recyclable, compostable, and then waste stations throughout the festival. We work very closely with our environmental services manager to do that. And then on top of it, if you look, and I know it's probably, again, it's a little bit smaller on the screens here, but we also then go back and try to sort out all that waste. And so it's a big production that they go through, and they come back with, how much waste we actually produced, and then how much they were able to sort out into the correct, and then how much they divert from landfill. And this last year, you'll see that we were able to divert 74% of all the trash, compostables, and plastics from our landfill. See, I have it in my notes. I should read that. In 2022, we moved the Memorial Day observance to Memorial Park. If you had ever attended the festival before that, it was incorporated into that Monday, which I think we did a very good job of, but it is hard when you have that many people and that big of a festival. And we felt that it was in need of its own place, its own location. And so the event now takes place at Memorial Park. It includes live music, including a trumpeter and bagpiper. We have different various speeches through elected officials and Blue Star moms. We had the poet laureate out there, the veteran color guard. And then we do a field of flags tribute. Anyone in attendance received a challenge coin that was dedicated to that event. And then the other thing that we did was we had the flags that you could place out in the fields. And we had about 50 flags placed out in observance of the Memorial Day for anyone who fell in service to the country. That's a big part that we added too, that you can also make that memory. You can go online and you can request the flag. So if you couldn't be present at the event itself, you can actually put that through the website, and then somebody will put a flag out there with a note that you had. So sometimes if you couldn't be there physically, you could be there in presence. So looking now a little bit of the analytics to what things cost for the festival. I just emphasize it is a very large festival. It takes a lot of planning over the course of the year. And so there are a lot of costs that go into it. The first basically graph that you're looking at primarily is our contract vendor costs. And we did take a look at 2019, which is pre-COVID, and then we have the last 3 years of the event. Most what we're trying to show is that things are trending to be more expensive. So the tents and booths that we rent for the festival, the radios, parking lot management that we work with, the barricades, the stages, all of those come with the cost. And over the last few years, most of those costs have trended up. We do want to show, though, that we are very conscious of the fact that these costs are going up, and we do find ways to sometimes reduce costs. The ones I'd point out is, for example, security. We realized that when we paid security to stay overnight, one of the things they were doing, they were also watching one of our roads, and they've been doing this for a while. What we were able to do was look and see during the daytime hours if that was something that we could do with part-time staff. And we did that this year. So you'll actually see that cost came down a little bit. So we collaborate with different contract vendors every year. We work very diligently with going out to as many vendors as we can to look at different costs, and then have them submit what their costs are going to be. And sometimes they do come down to, as mentioned, as the portable restrooms that you see. They came down a little bit the last couple of years, not because we reduced the restrooms, just because we worked with a different company. And then we did implement different strategies, such as changing vendors, using temp staff, and eliminating certain services, and more focused on our marketing efforts, just to find ways that we can creatively to reduce costs. The next graph you have 3 years here. You can see how our expenditures have steadily increased over the last 3 years, culminating last year approximately $119,112 in expenditures. But you'll also see on the other side of our direct costs, the revenue steadily increasing since post-COVID. And that is also a lot of work from our staff to find ways to bring in different revenue streams. And as mentioned, when you're looking at revenue for a festival, it's usually through sponsorships, or if you charge fees for certain services. We don't charge a lot of fees for services at the festival. We don't charge you to enter the festival. So it's how do we create revenue? One of the things done last year that was done really well is we created new areas that were deemed sponsorship areas. So Chevron was the title sponsor of the Art and Wind Festival. Bishop Ranch became our kite flying area and kite making workshop sponsor. The Coder School became the sponsor of the Kids Zone because they work with kids areas. Discover San Ramon was the sponsor of our amphitheater stage. The County Connection was the sponsor of our Iron Horse stage. Crow Canyon Orthodontics sponsored the professional kite flying area. And that was a little more than a traditional business booth sponsorship. So that's where you see part of this revenue going up. And the other part, we did change the cost and fee structure for parking at the festival. This last year, for many years, we kept it at $5. So 2018, 19, 20, 22, and then 23, we increased it by $1. And actually, we did receive a little bit of feedback that for those who pay in cash, it was a little bit of a challenge, surprisingly. So we said, well, we probably can't go backward, but we could go forward. What's easier if you're handling cash? $10. Now, we do accept cards, and the vendors accept cards, so they can pay that way. But it made it easier. But it also did increase our overall revenue. So we contract out with a parking management vendor. We've agreed to a set fee for their services, but anybody who attends and pays for parking, that money essentially comes back in revenue back to the city to help offset costs for the Art and Wind Festival. So that increase in fee plus a slight increase in parking or parked vehicles this last year, you did see a relatively significant increase in revenue through parking as well. Some of the other things just to kind of keep in mind, last year, we ordered 3,500 kites. We had a few left over from the year prior. We used all of them last year. So this kind of helps us understand, are we getting more people coming to the festival? Now, it could be younger kids who all want to go fly the kites and then catch them in the trees out in Central Park, but it could be more people as well. We did see more people using the bike valet service this year. And that's because it had moved from the actual Sports Basement store location back to the Iron Horse Trail. That was a lot of feedback we got. It also helps, as the festival goes, keep a lot of bikes off trees, chained to fences, because now you have a place that you can drop off the bike. There is no fee for that. And then we estimated approximate attendance of about 40,000. So we didn't see, these huge trends of our numbers going up, but that's been about the average of what we see, and we expect that that'll continue. Weather also plays a big part of the festival. If you've been there, you want it. Everybody varies on this, but about 75 to 80 degrees with a, 4 to 5 mile per hour wind, right? So that spins all the whirly gigs and the kites, but nobody's too hot, nobody's too cold, and that usually leads to a pretty successful attendance. Another way, is that the festival's large. Again, I know I keep saying that, is that it does require a lot of volunteers to help with this event. And so the volunteer things that we have people sign up to do are at the Kids Zone. They help paint, kids' faces. They do face painting. That's free. They help families with creating the kites that they'll later go out and fly in the park. And that's free. But if we had to staff all those areas with staff, that wouldn't be free. So volunteers are a big part of the Art and Wind Festival, and we get a really good participation. There's always a concern because it is over this holiday weekend, but overall, all the positions are filled, and most of them, I think people really enjoy and do 2 days. I mean, if you're, an amateur face painter the first day, you're professional the second day. So those are things that, people enjoy doing, or they want to go and do the kites one day and they want to go help out in the kid zone in another way. So we really do rely on different groups. And I know that was mentioned in the previous presentation too. The National Charity League is a great group that helps us out. We see a lot of high school, a lot of middle school volunteers, and mostly from our community. And the other great part about when you have community volunteers and organizations coming to the festival, they also bring their friends and their family, and they come and be part of the festival. Or when their shift is over, they go participate in the festival. So you can see, if you put a price value to, savings, it ends up being about $8,000 in service hours, that doesn't go directly to the festival, that really brings in. But I bet if you added in how much people then go in and participate in the festival, that number, would go up. All right. The next one is the cost for staffing the festival. These are some of the biggest numbers for the festival that you'll see. The Parks and Community Services Department incurred the largest staffing cost for the festival, which you see is $175,000. A little bit more than that, then followed by police, at about $67,000, and then followed by Public Works, which is about $15,000. Public Works provides the logistical infrastructure support that we need for the festival. They help with our lane closures, putting out the traffic control. They also maintain and help with some of the basic items that you have to have, like helping us pick up trash, helping us clean up here and there, because there's a lot of people. It generates a lot of trash. It generates, we need help sometimes with the restroom. Sometimes, the water fountain isn't working, so that they help with that. Police, obviously, they're a big part of the festival. They have patrols going around the festival at all times. They have patrols in the festival at all times. They also have a community outreach station where it's an opportunity for the police and then the public to also interact together. I strongly feel that's an important part of the festival. I think they feel that's a strong part of the festival, as the public doesn't always have the opportunity to meet the police or the police department members, face to face, and let's say a non-emergency situation. And then ultimately, the biggest cost does come back to the Parks and Community Services. Individuals like myself and the whole department are involved with putting on the Art and Wind Festival. A percentage of my time is solely dedicated to helping put on this festival, along with many of our department, including then the festival itself, which, are long days. I don't think any of us take away that, we know we're going to be a part of the festival, because, for us to do that, we want it to be successful. But that's where you end up with some of these overall costs there. Going back, I do want to mention that the festival with the overall cost is about at a 52% recovery rate, though, when you take a look at the total costs and versus the expenditures, which is very much in line with what our Parks and Community Services tries to provide for the community at the cost. So that's, we are there. And so the festival, in summary, it is the signature event for the city of San Ramon. It's a big event. It draws the most people to the city of San Ramon as a community. I think you put on a good festival, it reflects really well on the city of San Ramon. And so it's an important festival that we want to make sure we get right. As I said, it attracts visitors from all over the region. Sometimes we're able to take area codes and zip codes where people come, and they really do come from some, I'm sure there's out-of-town visitors, but as far as Fremont and, Walnut Creek, Castro Valley, San Leandro, Brentwood, really the whole East Bay comes to the Art and Wind Festival. It offers a unique family-oriented experience that sets it apart from regional events with the professional kite flying, the artist booths and exhibits, and an emphasis on nonprofit food and beverage vendors, something that you're unlikely to find at other festivals, or at least in the same capacity. And then we know, looking forward now, and even looking backward, that controlling expenditures and exploring opportunities to increase revenue will be crucial for ensuring the continued success of the Art and Wind festivals, not just next year's Art and Wind Festival, but all Art and Wind festivals to come. And there we have another video. I should have hit that button just a little bit sooner. And looking ahead to 2025, we know that we want to keep the festival fresh and we want to have new things and new opportunities for people to come. I think people look forward to it every year, but you also want something new to look forward to. And we are always exploring new opportunities, especially wind-related festival offerings. We want to stay with the theme. We think it's an important theme. Kites are just a big part of the festival, but so are other wind-related things. We want to continue to increase the cultural inclusivity of both in entertainment, food, and the activities that we have to offer. We want to increase the overall awareness about the festival. We know that, the marketing job is never done. So we know we can always go out there and try to let more people know that it's going on. We do want to increase the emphasis on the Memorial Day program, just that it does take place over Memorial Day weekend. And, that is, especially on Monday, the reason that we are off. If you're working, that's why. So we want to make sure that people are aware of it. And we do that before the time of the festival starts, I should mention. So the festival starts at 11. Most of the Memorial Day event ceremonies take place starting, I believe, at about 9 o'clock. And then you do and can go out there the rest of the day. But we try to separate that from the festival. We want to increase the connectivity and visibility of City Hall. This is a hub of activity for the city of San Ramon. We know it's an important activity. Here at the crossroads here of Bollinger and Al Costa, we're going to get this wonderful pedestrian bridge. I mean, it really is. And so when you come in, we know that it's an important part. It's kind of the first thing you see, even for the festival, if you come in this way. Further development, demonstration area, and interactive art areas as part of the festival. The other part, it's the Art and Wind Festival. So we know we want to continue to have an emphasis on that art, just as the emphasis for the art center that we are creating. We want to make sure that the festival also has an important art aspect to it. Central Park is 43 acres. The festival covers probably 40 acres. And that's why we want to make sure we continue to incorporate different things into that 40 acres of the Central Park. And then we know that we want to increase sponsorships and the business boost vendors. So we have our art vendors, but we know that local businesses, small businesses that want to be part of the festival, their sponsorship's important to the festival as well. That concludes the presentation on the 2024 Art and Wind Festival and looking ahead. So if you have questions, ready to answer.
Thank you, Steve. It is a great presentation. And yes, San Ramon definitely waits for Art and Wind Festival. We all do. So any comments? Or sorry, start with questions, clarifying questions. I see Commissioner Breed.
Dr. Boston.
Oh, okay. All right. Probably we should just clean it up.
I'm new.
You're new. Okay. Probably you were the last one from the last one. I see your name on the second. No. Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right.
That's okay.
Commissioner Dolly.
Steve, thanks. Question, there had been conversations regarding changing the methodology and the application of the food vendors to more of a commercial food providers that had some connection with the nonprofits. So where are those conversations regarding moving forward? Are we going to see that in 25 or is it going to be 26, 27?
You're correct. We were moving that as we saw less food vendors and less diversity in the number of food applicants that we received. This last year, though, I will say we had a new, very energetic staff who really went out and kind of talked to the different food vendors in our community to say, what the benefits are of partnering with a nonprofit and really help make it work. And that was a big concern why we were afraid is we weren't getting the number of food vendor applicants that we had received in the past. So we are still going to evaluate the direction of that. However, if we can get this diversity of food vendors, both, different kinds of foods, different cultural foods, and we could also help partner them with a nonprofit because there is benefit to that. It's benefit for the community, it's benefit for the festival. I think that we are going to continue to explore that as well.
Okay, 'cause I know one of the issues was the viability of a volunteer, organization being able to meet the health requirements that are required for providing food.
That is correct. Yes, we worked very closely with Contra Costa County to make sure that as they've evolved their own procedures, some of the things that we've talked to them about that was the concern that if you went this direction and basically you didn't allow the nonprofits to, share a little bit of the proceeds or help offset the cost of some of the food vendors, that wasn't probably going to work. They have, when we've talked to them, I think they were saying that they're okay with the way we're currently structured. And because we wanted to make clear, we said, this is how we're operating. And we have worked very closely with Contra Costa County Health Services on this to make sure that we are abiding by what they want to see us do, both in the way the food is serviced. They come out to the festival every year. They see how we operate. And then we do have to report back who the food vendors are. I mean, in the brochure you have, it clearly states who the nonprofits are that they're working with now. So we made sure that we did abide by what their needs were so that we did not find ourselves without any food vendors or any nonprofits doing the food vending.
Yeah, I think it evolved fairly well from where it had been in the past, because it was always difficult to sometimes meet those requirements when you're working as an amateur.
That is, yes.
Great, thank you.
Any other question? Anybody?
Well, I probably have a silly question, but I guess I'm going to ask it anyway. When you're having all this trash, I mean, I think it's wonderful that you're, with what we're doing. And in being a liaison to the seniors, the lady that came and spoke there, I thought she did a wonderful job. And I think probably we should get her to go out to other organizations so that they actually realize what they have to do when they have a large event, because, when you have large events, they take a table and just go like that and throw it in the garbage. And so I'm the garbage person, I guess, who have tried to train them that they can't do all this. So who in the world goes through all that ways to get it categorized?
So our environmental services manager working with ACI, which is the City of San Ramon's trash collections provider. They do contract out with, there's individuals out there who are very passionate about the way they sort trash, let's say, but they contract out with a group of individuals who go through every piece of trash for the festival and make sure it's properly sorted and seemingly enjoy it to make sure that it's done correctly. So
God bless them.
Hats off to them, because that's a wonderful thing to do, because I don't know what I'd be able to do that or not.
They've worked with this for a very long time and have done this part of the festival, in some capacity for a very long time, and so that they continue to work with them. And I think it's been a tremendous benefit to the festival. The other part, answering this as we, not just festivals, but look to incorporate a lot of this into the city of San Ramon, is education.
Right.
It's an education process. So when you go to the festival, you'll see that we have, the 3 bins, and we're trying to create the signage that, people understand, not just in language, but in pictures, what goes in which bin, to make that sorting process easier as well. And so as much education as we can do, we have a meeting with our food vendors months prior to the festival to go over if there are changes, there are requirements. For example, if we use single use, we did away with, essentially trying to do just single use items. So if you have, many of you saw the green Art and Wind Festival cups, which were provided to many of our vendors so that people can use those and reuse those and then keep them. A lot of the utensils were either like a bamboo or a compostable type item. They really went more to the direction of with is a paper-based so that it'll biodegrade versus a plastic-based item. And then, as mentioned, there is no styrofoam. That's the real, like, that's the first one. There is no more styrofoam, so.
No, I've worked there when, and it's a lot of work to do that, to do those booths, because you got to get all your utensils there, you got to get all your things. And, it's really a big event that you have, when you have to do all that, because it is take lots of time. But it's good that we are doing the trash pit. So is she available, the person that spoke, like with the seniors about how you can collect, what you should be doing? Is she available to go to organizations to speak?
I would have to check. I'm sure that they do have educational material, and I know they have outreach. So I don't want to commit somebody else without
Right.
me saying, but I'm sure if we reach out to them, specifically with specific organizations, I know that they are very interested in trying to educate as many people on these different, initiatives, that the city has as possible. So without committing the person, to that, I'm sure though, if we somehow get you in contact with them, that they would
I would like
want
that.
to do that.
I would
Yeah.
like that. So because several places that I belong to need very much educated on garbage.
Sure.
Right. The one thing I want to add for our Durga Puja, Agumani, we have been working with Kerry, that person, for the last 3 years. Again, it is costly as well to achieve that, what we want to achieve, but we have been making progress and we do work on that. So yeah, she does and talks to organizations like us and kind of educates us, help us to get to that point.
Right. I'll get her
And
number, and so I can contact her. So
I can certainly attest that when that ruling or that procedure first came in, those utensils were very difficult to find.
Yes.
And there's
Yeah,
been a
yeah,
lot.
now it's fairly
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
to find,
yeah.
but 10 or so years ago, having staffed 2 booths, it was very difficult to find those utensils that were actually cost effective as well. The
Yeah.
cost has come way down on it.
It has, and I know that that side has been very helpful for us to, helping either supply some of those items in quantities initially to try and help alleviate some of the costs. Because obviously, when you're having a food booth, a lot of times the reason people went to styrofoam because it was the cheapest option, and so. The other thing they do, and there's other questions, is that they offer, as we talked about the volunteer program, they also, part of the Art Wind Festival, offer a volunteer initiative, part of that, as they call the trash talkers. And they have people go out there walking around the festival to kind of help people understand, what goes into which bin.
So I've been cleaning out my garage and I'm coming across some of those things from past festivals, so. If there's enough, I'll let you know and you can donate them to some other vendors.
I've already done that with the garage.
Let's get into it.
Big job. It's all day.
All right, any other question for? No? Okay, Steve, just one quick question is, we achieved 52% of the cost recovery this year. Is it a kind of, that what I'm just trying to get some historical data. Is it something that is what we achieve, or is it more, less?
The festivals I've been involved with, that's usually what we're trying to achieve. So, costs have continued to increase in many ways, but we've been so far able to manage that through finding more sponsors. And so we've been able to, as far as I've been involved, been able to sort of manage around that percentage point.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you.
Oh, one other question.
Oh, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Is Chevron already signed up, or are we desperately looking for another major vendor? To support.
We're looking towards 2025 and working with all available, entities. That's a bigger sponsorship to the city, and I know that they're working on that. So that encumbers the Art and Wind Festival, but right now I'm not involved with where they're at in the sponsorship process.
There's still gas stations at the state.
Well, yeah, but, and they still have $500,000 square feet at Bishop Branch, but
All right. Any public comments? No? Okay. All right. Let's move on to commission comments. Anybody? All right. Commissioner Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve, nice job. Just actually one small question and then comments. Difference in attendance between Sunday and Monday traditionally, is it a marked difference?
I'll just say, since my involvement, it's very often been weather dependent. Where if Mondays have, to me, had a greater attendance overall, generally. There was a couple of years ago where we kind of had a sort of scooting around a rainstorm, and it was windy and it was cold on a Sunday, and then it was like just twice as many people on that Monday. A lot of that too is we believe people still do go out and enjoy the long weekend, typically, but might come back for the festival. So we do usually see, at least from our vendors, telling us that we see more attendance on Mondays.
Yeah, great. Well, just kudos to you and the staff. I mean, it gets better and better every year, for sure. And my Rotary Club, we do the beer and the wine booths. There's 2 of them. And then the Interact Club from Cowhide does the food, which we also help coordinate. And it just is, it's a well-oiled machine. I tell you guys do a fabulous job. Love the cups, the new reusable cups. I have like 10 of them at home, which probably says something about me. Anyway, couple other things, just, yeah, I just wanted to give kudos to the staff. They were so responsive this year in particular. I'm schlepping ice and tapping kegs all day, both days, from the start of setup Saturday to when we take down Monday evening. And they were just super, super responsive. So, so thank you for all that. Yeah, I think that's it. It'll be interesting to see once the pedestrian bridge goes up, right? I think this will be the big test for the bridge and how much how great it's going to be. Because I know that's a huge issue, is just traffic getting to and from the destination. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but thank you to you and your staff. Just wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Levy?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, again, great report, Steve. I'll echo my fellow commissioners on that. Just a couple of quick points. I helped work the event. It was at the Civic information booth. It was a terrific turnout, terrific experience. I really enjoyed being able to do that. I did kind of walk around the entire perimeter a couple of times just to get a lay of the land. And I'm glad that you kind of highlighted the increasing connectivity and visibility of City Hall as a goal for the future, because I did stop by here. It was total ghost town, nobody here. There was the video presentation, but that was it. So definitely, I think that's an opportunity for some growth there. And when the new pedestrian overcrossing is part of it, that'll make that a lot easier. So that's good. And yeah, just the festival waste metrics, the diversion rates and stuff. I know a little bit about that from my day job, and that is just staggering. The 74% diversion rate, and especially the increase in compostables. So that's really good. I've worked with event greeners too. I think you called them trash talkers. I'll call them that too, because that's an accurate description. I had lunch at the festival and they guided me through properly throwing my waste away, even though I kind of knew how to do it. But they were very professional, very polite, very efficient. So great job there. And then the staff costs for the event itself. They're high for sure, but this is like you said, the signature event for San Ramon. This is the city's opportunity to see its city do something for them. It's an all hands on deck situation. It's a huge event. I mean, it's the biggest event that the city does. So when you consider all of that, I think the staff costs are very fair, and I can only imagine the amount of work it is for you guys. So I also want to echo the rest of the commission and give kudos to you and your staff for pulling off a terrific event. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Britt?
Yeah, Steve, what Kyle said, good job, especially on the trash thing. He nailed what I was going to say on that. As you take a look at, this is more of a comment, but if you take a look at the event, I think we've done a nice job in covering all age ranges. So when we're volunteering, by the way, thanks for putting our booth in the shade by the door, by the way, this year. But anyway, so is having, people from 2 to 3 making kites all the way up to, our seniors being involved with certain booths and volunteering. I think that touches all age range and all diversity of our city. And I think you touched on people coming in to visit, because a lot of people came by Parks booth, and, I'm from Castro Valley, I'm from Hayward, it's got a great reach. And I tie that in because, we don't measure kind of the tax revenue that it brings in, from people coming in and touching our businesses. We really don't know that, nor could we. I guess we could measure, but it'd be very costly to go do, and we're not really solving for anything. But I think it's something to think about as we do events like this. And then I think, Terry mentioned about the nonprofits. What I think a lot of them rely on this event for funding for their organization. So I think it's massively important for that, and we do a nice job. And it's nice to hear about the community service on it. So, because as I was, and the last thing I said, I thought the maps were really cool this year, because as we're talking about telling people like where the rides, it was very easy and handy to navigate. And I don't know if that was new this year, but I think it was, and I thought it was really well done. So the only build I'd have is I came up with a different number from cost recovery, and I'll just share that later, because I just need to understand that a little bit better. But either way, whatever the expense is, to Commissioner Nitra's point, it's worth it from what we do. But there's a lot of immeasurables that this event brings to community, and I know it's a lot of hard work. I saw you and Becky there a lot, running around, so I appreciate it. So hopefully the feedback's helpful and the points are good.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? No, I see.
Just one other quick comment. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I wanted to just echo what Steve said about just because our Rotary Club, I think we made well over $10,000. And it's one of our major fundraisers for the year. So, and the lion's share of that money goes right back into the community. So exactly what you said, Steve, it's a great opportunity. So I just hope that we'll never lose that opportunity for the nonprofits to be able to raise money in that way. And I know it's important for us to explore other ways to increase the variety in that, and which is terrific, because we also want to promote local business. But it's a big revenue source for a lot of nonprofits. So thanks for that opportunity.
Yep, exactly. Students Commissioner Chawla.
For sure. So just overall, like, this is like my favorite event like of the year. I love attending it. And I know it's like the same with my fellow teens. Like, we always look forward to coming to the Art and Win Festival, just because it's like such a fun time to like look at all like the vendors that are there, to like have food, to have fun. So one idea that I have, I'm not sure if this is feasible, but I know that other events like the Alameda County Fair does this. They have teen interns that they hire like months prior. And basically what these interns are there for is to help with like marketing, to help with like coding for the website, for example, because there's a lot of people who have like a lot of experience in high school, and they're kind of there just to like help out and also to gain experience for themselves. So I definitely recommend, like, if you do need like any help in any of these aspects, to definitely like reach out to get teen interns, because I know you would definitely get a lot of participation from the teen community, because honestly, a lot of people are just looking for experience and ways to showcase like what they've been doing on a greater scale. And then also for the trash issue, honestly, like, I've done like volunteering where my sole duty was to pick up trash at an event. So honestly, if you do really need, you could reach out to like National Honor Society. That's what I did it through like a few weeks ago. Just letting them know you need help with like trash, and they can get volunteers for you who are just kind of going around the event, picking up trash and like helping with that problem. So that's another option to that issue. But yeah, overall, it sounded really great, and I'm really excited for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Steve, as I said, this is one of the events that I think full center won't wait for, and there are people up from outside on that, outside come here for that event. Also being a nonprofit and but taking part in this event for the last 3-4 years, maybe, it is a revenue generation event for us. So not only us, so other nonprofit organizations and their vendors. I think vendors make big profit here as well. So this is not only, I know we are looking at 52% recovery, but if you look at the economy, impact on the economy, it's much bigger, much bigger. So probably that we can at least put that when you were talking about profit and loss here, so that not intangible. So if there is any way to measure that, what is the impact on the local economy on that particular event, probably that will be the right way to balance this or finding it profit and loss on this one as well. But overall, I think as everybody said, this is a well-oiled machine. You guys are making it so simple, but it is, we know for sure that so much hard work goes into that, so much planning, so much, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year, more complex, more vendors on that. So kudos to you, everybody involved on that, just like every other year. So looking forward to the next year. Anybody else? Any other comment? No.
Thank you. And I just thank all the commissioners because many of you, if not all of you, I believe were at the festival. And, you know, your eyes, your ears, and your feedback really help us as we look from this year to the next year and beyond. So if you do have further feedback, please, you know, you can provide to Kathy or Brad, and then they'll get that back to us as we have already begun the planning process for next year's Art and Wind Festival.
Yep.
So see you there. All right. Thank
See
you.
ya. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. All right. Next agenda item is 7.3 Dog Park Amenities Update, presented by Becky Adams, Program Manager. Recommendation is receive the report.
Thanks, Steve.
Hi, excuse me, I am battling a bit of a sinus infection, so I apologize. I do have my 2 different drinks up here to try to keep myself on task, but I promise if I start coughing and I have to leave, Brad is my backup, and so he's going to keep the ball rolling. If he has to present, please don't judge me. I tease Brad. All right. Well, good evening, Chair Mitra, Vice Chair Breed, and fellow commissioners. I'm excited to be here tonight to provide an update on our dog park amenities. And so, as Chair Mitra mentioned, the recommended action tonight is it's just informational only. There is no formal action required by the commission this evening. And so just a bit of background, some of you may recall, if not all of you may recall, we have been working diligently for the past few years to improve the dog parks here in San Ramon. And this is based on feedback and requests from our community. And it also meets our master plan goal 4.3C. And so in December of 2021, we did initiate a dog park survey with our community, specifically regarding preferred surfaces and the desire for amenities improvement to the current dog parks. And so in that, as a result of that survey, we did convert the grass in the all-size dog park at Bark and Ride. And also as a result of that, when we were developing the fiscal year 23-24 capital improvement program, we were successful in getting a CIP project in place for dog park amenities in the amount of $50,000. And so earlier this year in January, I had the pleasure of presenting some recommendations to our facilities committee. And during that presentation, it was for specific like play features such as ramps, balance beams, tunnels, faux boulders, things like that, that were really play features for the dogs at our parks. And while our facilities committee did find merit in having some of those amenities at the dog parks, they did feel that it was more reasonable and practical to have functional amenities such as shade, benches, things, trees, things of that sort. And so per their recommendation, we did initiate another community survey, and specifically that community survey talked to the community or seek input from the community of how they would recommend or best see the city of San Ramon spending the $50,000 that was allocated into the CIP project. And so that survey was initiated in mid-February through the end of March of this year. Like I said, seeking the input for their preferences for the $50,000 for the CIP. And so next in your packet, as well as for these slides, is just a quick snapshot of the community survey results. And so, excuse me. Sorry. All right. making sure I get my notes correct here. And so some of the results that you see here is asking the community, how should we best utilize the purchase and install play features? And so they strongly agreed. Close to 50% of the respondents said that they did strongly agree with having some of those play features, such as boulders, tunnels, and ramps at our dog parks. And then the next question that we asked was additional seating for the dog park owners, which you can see this was a bit less. This is about 40% of the respondents said that they would like to have additional seating at the current dog parks. While the next one is the available funds should be utilized to provide additional shade. And you can see that more than 50% of the respondents said that, yes, there should be additional shade structure at the Centermone dog parks. And then the next one is asking specifically about trees. We all know that trees are highly desirable. They're great for the environment, provide shade for humans and dogs. And nearly 70% of our respondents stated that they would be interested or recommend that the city provides additional shade, additional trees at or adjacent to the City of Centermone dog parks. And so this is where the results get very interesting, because then we ask the community to force rank what the types of amenities that they would like at the dog parks. And so trees, of course, unexpectedly or expectedly, I should say, came in number one. That's the most highly desired amenity that they would like at our dog parks. And then it goes to benches, and then the shade structure is pretty darn close to some of those play features that we had previously talked about. So it's just really interesting to see that input from our community and how they think we should best utilize the $50,000 for the CIP program that we have. And so where does this leave us? And so we have $50,000, and $50,000 when we're talking about shade structures, shade features, it's not a lot of money. And we really want to do our very best to stretch this dollar as much as possible. And so, staff will be, when we're looking at the types of shade features that we're looking at putting into the dog parks, we will be looking to prioritize trees where possible, because good for the environment. They're cheaper to install. They do require water. They do require some of these things, but it will be one of those things that we're looking at first, and then looking at different types of shade features, whether it is the heavy duty shade cells or if it's a solid structure, shade structure. Those are very expensive. We could very easily spend $50,000 on one shade structure. And so to be good stewards of the public funds, we want to make sure that we're able to stretch that dollar as much as possible. And so the good news is that every dog park in Centermone, whether it's an all-size dog park or a small dog park, every single one of them already have a shade structure in the dog park. And so this would be additional shade. And so Parks and Community Services staff will collaborate with Public Services staff to identify and prioritize an installation schedule for the shade structures. We want to make sure that we collaborate and work very closely with Public Services as it relates to this, because they're the ones who are maintaining it. I may think that I can do the best job in my backyard, but I'm not maintaining these public parks. And so we're really going to lean on the expertise of our Public Services staff to help guide how we can do things and what we can do at some of these dog parks. And so like I had mentioned as well, the shade features may include solid structures, the heavy duty shade cells, and or trees adjacent to their dog parks. We have to be careful putting trees in the middle of our dog parks, because we know dogs often go there to do their business, if you will. So we want to make sure that we're able to keep the trees alive. We also have to make sure that we have water running to the dog park or to the trees so that we can properly irrigate them. That's why adjacent to the dog parks are generally more desirable, because those are landscaped areas where we already have water running. And then we're able to make sure that we're putting the trees in the correct orientation so that it can provide shade at the hottest part of the day or in the evenings when people are out there more. So then they can really take advantage of the shade that these trees will provide. All right. And so fiscal impact in our next steps, as mentioned a few times, we have $50,000 in this CIP for our approved dog park amenities. And so we will be prioritizing shade as that, whether it's trees or shade structures, shades, cells, if you will. And so based on this priority list established, we may need to request additional funds in future years. We will really analyze that as we get further along in the process, also knowing what funds may be available for CIP projects in the future. We'll be taking that into consideration as well. And so, again, Parks and Community Services and Public Services staff will work very closely to identify the specific locations and the types of shade features to be installed in the dog parks and then proceed with installation. And fun fact, that is my dog. That's Murphy. She is enjoying our Tassajara Ridge Staging Area park. So, yeah.
Cool.
So there we go. That's my presentation for this evening. Oh, sorry, I did forget to ask one thing. And so if the commission has feedback or input on the types of shade features that you would like to see, if you have a prioritized list of the locations, please provide that to me or to Brad or Kathy if it's at a later date. And I will make sure that we take that into consideration as we are going through this process of identifying shade features for our dog parks. So now I'm ready for the questions.
So Becky, just to clarify, you are expecting question because the recommendation says receive reports. It doesn't say receive feedback. So just wanted to make
Yep,
sure.
you can provide comments, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, clarifying comments. Please put your. Okay, Carol, do you still have that or is that the old one?
That's an old one, but I'll have a comment. I guess it's not really a question, but I'm the liaison to the seniors.
Yes.
And so one of the discussions we had on Monday was that they want more shade trees, not only just in dog parks, but in parks. And someone even suggested that we plant 6,000 trees. And I said, well, that's a little much for us to handle, I think, financially, but that came through loud and clear that they wanted more shade trees. So I know that this would go along with their requirement that they need more shade trees. And this is for seniors. So, and they have dogs too.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm sure that we have some public services staff who are either listening tonight or will listen to it in the future, and we'll also share that feedback with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dolic?
Who did this survey go out to? Because it's 105 responses out of what, 80,000 residents?
Yeah, so we thank you. That's a great question. So we did post this at all of the dog parks.
Oh, so it was specific.
It was specific to the dog park users because we really wanted to go to the source. And so we posted it on all of the different dog parks as well as on our social media page. And we had a link on our dog park website as well.
QR code or something? where
Yep,
they can go
exactly.
in.
That's
So that-
exactly what it
so the
is.
105 is not reflective of a citywide residential.
Right.
Okay. And then it's a very human centric response.
Yes.
So the dogs need a little bit more input and a little bit more lobbyists.
We'll put a QR code on a dog tag for them.
So I would think the trees would be a good solution because it does benefit the dogs as well. I don't think,
That's
the dogs damage the tree by utilizing it as a porta potty. So, the trees make more sense of shades, the human need and, the dog wants something to like run around and, be attracted to. The trees make sense.
Absolutely. Great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
the shade structure is too expensive.
Yep.
You're not gonna
Very.
get more than one and it's not gonna be a very good shade structure at $50,000. Nobody's gonna be happy with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it would go to one park.
Yeah.
instead of all of
But the trees seem to make more sense from, everybody's perspective.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Commissioner Levy?
Sure. Thanks, Becky, again, for a great presentation. I just wanted to, for my own information, ask, the 50,000 that's currently assigned, is there a sense of urgency to have to spend that, or is it more of just the longer it sits untouched, the more attractive of a target it becomes to redirect?
I don't know if I can quite answer that piece of it.
Fair enough.
However, I will say that this was initiated in the fiscal year 23-24. So we did already roll that over to the 24-25 fiscal year. And so absolutely, we would like to spend it so then we can continue this forward momentum that we have created with our dog parks and which we do continue to hear feedback from. But if it's the pleasure of the council and the commission and the city, does it have to be spent right now? No, it doesn't, but we would like to continue to provide this for our residents.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? I don't see any other name. So I don't have a question. So I'll just move on to public comment. Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm intrigued by this idea of the desire for these shade trees. And because I have another gig that I do for the city, I'm just so challenged with this idea that if we could partner all of these developments that request tree removal permits with places in our city that want trees, maybe the trees that we're just cutting down to get rid of them could be dug up and replanted in a way that you get nice trees, because we don't have to cut them down. If perhaps we could partner between the people who want to get rid of the trees and the people who want the trees. Now, I don't know if that costs $50,000, but it might be something worth looking into. And so I'm just going to share that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kind of like a tree dating site.
All right. Moving, any other public comments? No. Okay. All right. Moving into commission comments. I still see two names. I don't know if there are new names or that they are old names. I see your name. I keep on coming, okay, until you drop it.
I just learned to take
You're
my
gonna
name
get
off.
barking up the wrong tree.
All right. Anybody else? Any other comments? Student commissioner, anything about the tree, dog, kids?
I don't have a dog. I don't really go to dog parks. I don't necessarily have like perspective on it. But I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very cool that you're looking into what the community wants, especially like us, like this particular group that is going to these parks. So yeah, I think it's just very cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Becky, the one thing I would say is it does fall under, I mean, I just pointed out, what your outcome came out with falls under master plan, so that just makes you feel any better. But what the vision was for dog parks, warrants what was in the master plan, so I think it's under 4.3 as you're presenting, like, oh, it makes a lot of sense, so that's good news.
We specifically put that master plan goal in there for you.
Yeah, thank you. Since I have nothing better to do, right, since I read it already.
We listen to your feedback.
Write the master plan, thank you.
You're welcome.
A big, great effort and great survey, and I think great course correction as well. I think it makes perfect sense. 50,000, I think, as everybody said, is not a lot of money. Some money, not a lot of money. Is just to do just one thing to shade. I think just getting one shade at one park, rather than that, we should probably think about what everybody is saying, trees. We just had a good idea. I think that is a great, if we can use that, probably we can actually save some of the trees and use them and get our requirements done as well. Only thing is that if we plant a small tree, it will take 5 years to grow and things like that. That is the only downside. But other than that, it is amazing. I think we should do that. But again, I would like to are we having any follow-up of this one, or is there any plan for that, or is this is
No. At this point, no, we're just we'll work with public services staff and we'll come up with a prioritized plan and proceed with installation.
okay? All right. No other comment? I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Great.
Becky. Really appreciate that.
Stop the puppies and they can grow up with trees.
Grow up with trees.
Appreciate that.
All right. Take care, Becky. All right, next is staff report. Recreation, maintenance and operation report.
Yes, so there's a lot again in those rec reports. So our staff have been very busy. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, it always is good reading. I'll just draw your attention to a couple things in there. Our open gyms, that program is still growing with an increase of 277 visits over the same month last year, for a total of 1,910 visits. Now that's partly due to the added Sunday evening badminton time slot, which accounts for 156 of that increase, but it is fascinating to watch that program grow. And so suffice to say, our staff are carefully watching it, but that's interesting. The same can be said of the applicants for the city gallery. You didn't see that art gallery one. Last year, we had 52 applicants for display in all of the art galleries within the city. This year we have 112. So that's for only 45 spaces.
Wow.
So in the past, you had 52 people applied, you have 45 spaces, you had to screen out, 7, 10, something like that. This year they're having to screen out almost half. And so the Arts Advisory Committee will be looking at this next Wednesday. They've got their work cut out for them on this one, because that's not going to be as easy. And so certainly interesting. And I think it's a testament that the Arts Center, as you heard tonight, is really starting to build synergy and excitement around the arts, and is pulling that in, which was the vision. And so it's that whirlpool. So it's a great problem to have, but I'm sure we're going to be trying to figure out how can we put more artists in. So I'm sure we'll have lots of doubling up. And then lastly, in your report, I don't know if you noticed the Crow Canyon Gardens and the apple. So we had apple thieves. So I'm just going to give you the tiny bit more background on this. We have beautiful apple trees at Crow Canyon Gardens, and they're all different varieties. And so we did an apple tasting last year, super fun, great. So this year we're all getting ready for the apple tasting, and the volunteers and staff show up out there, and one tree is completely stripped, not one apple left on it, and they were just getting ripe. So the staff were like,
Squirrel?
it was just gone. So then they're like, oh my gosh. So then they put up signs that said, don't pick the apples. And then they came back and another tree was stripped. So then Public Services came and put the fence around it, and we put up big signs. And again, so we have a real problem. They're just going right past the fence, and someone is just absolutely stealing the apples, which is against our municipal code. So the police are on it. And we'll still have our apple tasting, because we can still do that. But ultimately, it's really going to help when Crow Canyon Gardens is renovated, because you'll be able to see through, and the police will be able to keep a much better eye. Right now, the apple trees are kind of hidden behind the building.
Gotta put some
So.
GPS trackers. Air
Believe me,
tags.
I wanted to put an Apple air tag in an apple. That's what
Couldn't wait for one.
Could this be squirrel? Because it happens to me every year.
not
No.
every apple.
100 squirrel.
One night, the whole tree is stripped in my house.
Seriously? The whole
Yes,
thing?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
In the morning, I go to office, come back in the afternoon, whole tree is
It'd
stripped.
be the same person.
Hundreds of
Squirrel,
apples,
squirrel,
hundreds of apples,
Squirrels for you?
squirrel.
hundreds of apples. Wow.
No, they just
They-
did
I
TP
mean,
your house. Like
I don't know what, but that is. I mean, initially
Well,
I thought
it's
somebody
not
did that, but
impossible, but I would have thought we would have seen more on the ground.
Yeah.
yeah, you will see some on the grab with the bite mark. Yes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and also I believe the fence got knocked over, so that's
Ah,
big
okay.
squirrels.
That's a.
Big squirrel. Two-legged squirrel.
Anyway, if you have any questions on anything in the report, I'm happy to answer.
Can I comment on something?
Of course.
Because my old day, when I played the soccer club, we wanted that fence extended. Because we had so many kids that go down the hill, and we were worried about them getting hit. So I lobbied as far as I could, not very successfully, so someone did a better job, but I think that's so important. The safety of that field was phenomenal that you put that in. So thank you for doing that. And I think that's, I personally believe it's gonna save really bad accidents. So from a safety standpoint.
Well, and believe me, government moves slowly, so it probably was your impetus that started a long time ago that moved it finally forward.
No scares me everything. The other day, just the full party, I thought was awesome. Hey, what's any update on, screw them, Sunrise Bridge opening up or?
Fingers crossed, end of fall
Yeah.
or end of November. We've shortened the time period for the warranty period from 90 days to 30. So we're just waiting for the developer to finish up and say, here it is, and then we'll go on with the warranty. So we have high hopes for that. I can't guarantee it until it actually gets handed. to, from the developer.
I got 3 people at my church that live there and they keep asking me every week,
Yeah, I'm the person in my house wants to play basketball up there, so.
Say end of fall. That's my current answer.
The Maria, that part of it. Yeah.
All right, anything else?
That's
No, okay, all right, moving on to next item, item number 9, Commission Liaison reports and announcements. We'll start with the right side. Commissioner Levy.
Sure. I don't really have anything to report. Coming out of August, it's a slower month. And I don't think the teen council's actually met since I became the liaison, but I look forward to the meeting next week. And that's all I got.
Sorry, I missed Commissioner Chawla. Do you have any update from the team council?
ACPA and our ambassador program. So ACPA is our Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award. So we're just working on, of course, like getting the word out there for both these programs because currently we don't have a lot of applications, but typically with teens, we see all the applications come in like the night before. So we're hoping that we will see that, but also obviously going to more schools, contacting the admin and just making sure that all the teens know about this opportunity. Yeah, that's basically what we're working on right now. So we're hoping to see more growth and I'll let you know how many applicants we get next meeting.
Cool. All right. Commissioner Carol Louis.
Yes, we met on Monday. The first part of the program is they're working on their report to us for their updates. And then the next one is, of course, that for a quarter, you can nominate people who have done extra work or helpful in the area. And so now there's a lady, Angela Cotton, who has been nominated. She has started with the secretary for the Senior Center, San Ramon Senior Center. And she then got involved in that. And then so she went to the foundation. And so now she's the president of that. And so she will be honored. And then there is another person that was honored also. And I can't read the writing too well, but I think it's looks like a Javay. Dow. He is a gentleman, and that's the nominating part of me. I mean, it's Phil Otis, O-T-I-S, I assume. And he makes poker fun and he's a great guy, and he is leads that area of poker to have fun for the seniors. So that was some of it. And the other part, they had done studies for all the senior community places in San Ramon. So they reported back on that. Now, some of them have their own facilities. They take care of everything, and some do not. Some are the low income, some are medium income. So now they're going to concentrate on those, because those are where we need to get more information out to them for the facilities that we have and everything that we have to offer for them to help that. So that will be an emphasis on that. Also, there is 3 openings for this senior group members because the secretary moved. So now they don't have a secretary, and then they need 2 other people also, so that I'm sure hopefully that we have some applications to, to interview. So because they do need 3 more people because they're short on members there. And so they've recognized seniors, and they've had the barbecue day, and the cafe keeps increasing the numbers that they have for lunch. And they put in here quarterly updates for like meals and van trips and etc. And the meals have increased all the time, that we're having more meals. And the drop-in classes like line dancing, card games, karaoke, tennis, bocce ball and stuff, those have increased tremendously. So those are good things that are coming up. So and as I said, the assisted living facilities. And so those were the main things. And it was interesting when after I gave my report that they questioned of how I felt about planting 600 trees. And so I said, well, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I would bring it up that they do want more shade trees in the parks, not just the dog park, but in the parks for them to sit under, enjoy, so that they're not in the baking sense, since it's been so hot this summer. So that was one of their comments to me, is they would like more trees. So it was very interesting. And you do learn a lot. So that's like, I want the lady's name about the garbage. I can get a hands on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dolge,
Yes.
can you please?
So the presentation we had this evening from Adam Chow was the same presentation we had at the Arts Advisory Committee meeting. And then the second agendized item was regarding the Art and Wind Festival, so kind of related as well, but it was the artist selection process and how that should proceed. Because in the past, and there was some amendment to it this year, but there was a desire to create more of an avenue for local artists for the Art and Wind Festival. A local meaning Tri-Valley, not just Bay Area. So, because there was some consideration that the artist from Fremont was out of the area. And so the issue that came up was that the art that came in on the second round this past year was not really good art. So it went back to the original submissions where Ms. Chase was selected. And part of the question that's come up is, do you want to just evaluate the artist for the Art and Wind Festival on their portfolio that they present versus asking them to present and provide a kind of a rough rendering of what they would present for the Art and Wind Festival? And that becomes problematic because it becomes very, not very finished. So you're just getting, sketches and ideas and they don't really have the input that comes from staff after being selected. So there's still a question regarding how that's to proceed. So that doesn't have to happen until January or February. So there'll be some continued discussion regarding that. I think Fremont's part of the local area myself, and to have a wider breadth of artists presenting rather than limiting it to a particular geographic territory. I think we should give priority to an artist that is within the Tri-Valley or a Saremont resident, but to restrict it to that leaves a lot of great art on the cutting room floor, so to speak. So that was the second agendized item.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to the 152, was it 152 submissions, which basically I think we'll probably go into the next morning with the selection process for this month.
How do you do that? What is the process?
It's secret.
Secret ballot process.
No, each
It doesn't.
each kind of like the electoral college, nobody knows how.
Nobody knows.
Somehow it determines all of our fate. No, each artist submits 4 to 5 selections of their work, plus if they do have a website that has a wider selection, they do submit that as well. Staff, which would be Adam and Ree, correlate those, and we rank them on a scale of 1 to 5. Not like golf, 5 is good, 1 is bad. It does take time, and then there's a correlation, kind of a weighted average of the committee members, selection process. And then we, rank them. And as Kathy said, when there were, 52, artists presenting, their work in 45, gallery slots. Okay.
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of get the bottom 7 out. Here, there's really less than half, slots. So, and we really can't have, bifurcate the month, for an artist. And some of the galleries like the City Hall are 2 months long, right? And so, there has to be some way to, measure that. Plus, now that there might be more gallery space at the Doherty Station, but not for this, that hasn't been really, determined yet or, really looked at as a solution. So I would think that the gallery slots and the time frame that those artists will be presented within a specific gallery are, going to be static for this coming year. And of course, there are already slots that are taken. The San Ramon and Dublin Women's, Youth Art is in April. The artist that's selected for the Art and Wind Festival has the gallery and Lindsay Dirks Brown for May because of the Art and Wind Festival. So, there are already some areas that are reserved for particular, artists. And so, it's even less of a selection, less of a availability of art gallery and presentation. So cool. So, but, seeing more artists is a tribute to Adam and Ree's, really solicitation. And there are, a lot of artists that are on the list on from past years that, we invite and select. So you're welcome to come to the meeting and enjoy the.
I saw that coming. I saw it.
Selection. Come on out.
It's just
So you can
one.
see the process there.
It could have been just one liner, come to the meeting. All right, Vice Chair Britt.
I have no report. My meetings were canceled. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Osland.
Okay, so we had the Open Space Advisory Committee on August 19th. We had a refresher on the Brown Act. We elected our new chair and vice chair, which they stayed the same. So Robert Peoples will remain the chair and Henry Presalonso will remain vice chair. And then we also received a presentation on Doherty Valley and Northwest San Ramon Geological Hazard Abatement District, which you probably all know as GAD. And then we made assignments for the 2024-25 Open Space Advisory Committee hikes. I'll be leading the one with Diana Corpy from the committee this Saturday. So if you guys are interested, it is the Stream View Loop. It's a moderate 2.2 mile hike and it's off of Bishop Ranch Open Space on Morgan Drive. 9 a.m.
Saturday?
This Saturday. And then I sat in on the city council meeting, which was last night. That was the 10th. And they had for the majority of the meeting, it was a closed door session, but we did have some special presentations at the beginning, which were proclamations. There were 3. The first was the proclamation declaring September 18th through the 24th as Constitution Week, and it was presented to the Daughters of the American Revolution. The second proclamation was declaring September 2024 as Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and it was presented to Krista Keller, who is the founder and the co-director of Enzo and Me, a pediatric cancer foundation. It was very emotional presentation given by her. And then the last proclamation was declaring September 2024 as National Senior Center Month. And that was introduced by Steve Cox and the chair of the Senior Advisory Committee, Colette Clark, received the certificate. So that's all I have. Oh, wait, one more important announcement that September 20th through the 23rd. So not this weekend, but next weekend, 680 will be closed from Al Costa to 580. So that was brought up at the city council meeting.
Yeah, one of another 2 or 3 times.
All right.
Oh.
It got,
And wait, there's more.
and there's one more thing. Thank you, Brad. I put in front of everyone's place, the Oktoberfest event is Saturday, October 5th. Super fun. It's at the farm, Forest Home Farms, from 11 to 3, and tickets are available online. So go ahead and get your tickets. And Fat Maddie's Grill will be doing all the cooking. So
Are we having dog races this year?
no dog races, but we do have the Bavarian dancers and we have the Olympia Fields brass band.
Are they protesting because there's no trees at the dog?
No,
Okay,
I
just
don't
wondering.
know. It's
Okay.
just, sometime we'll have the dog races.
Okay.
Someday. Okay. All right, Commissioner Corning?
I am looking forward to my first Library Advisory Committee meeting on October the 10th. And I think that's it. I know that they rotate between Doherty Station and San Ramon Library. So I guess I would just go online and check out the agenda the week before to find out the location. Okay, thank you. Still trying to get my legs under me here. And then I just briefly wanted to piggyback on something Kathy mentioned earlier, which is this event that we have coming up in October. We're waiting to actually pick a date, but I wanted to just give kudos to Brad for just starting the conversation, and then Kathy for actually having the conversation. This is a family who tragically lost their son almost a year ago to the day to suicide, and mental health among our young people in this community is a growing issue, and it's something that we have to pay attention to. And so I just am so grateful for, and Becky in particular, because she has really been kind of working with the family to make this project go forward. So the Yellow Tulip Project is a national nonprofit organization, and the whole idea is to bring awareness to mental health issues that young people in particular are experiencing, and particularly people who may have suicide ideation. And so, you know, the CEO actually lives in Oakland, is going to attend the event with us. We're hoping to make it a really nice community event. It's going to spice up a portion of Memorial Park. The family is going to pay for all the removal of the shrubbery and the application fees and the installation of the bench and everything. And then I think within a few months, we're going to see some beautiful tulips pop up, and it's going to be a great space where people can just come, and it's called a Hope Garden for a reason, and they'll be able to come and just reflect. And but it wouldn't happen if the staff here wasn't so incredibly responsive. So thank you.
What is the date of that again, Tammy?
We don't have a date yet. It's going to be in October sometime, because the way that tulips actually grow, you have to plant them around that time in the fall. And so we have to get that done prior to November. So it's going to be sometime, we think, in mid-October,
Cool.
once we get the arrangements worked out. And there's going to be a feature story also in West San Ramon. So I wanted to publicly thank Kelly Cockrell for her dedication to this issue as well. So look for that in a future issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning Commission meeting for 3rd September. There was one main agenda item, which is the Burlett Residential Development Study Session. Burlett is Bishop Branch 7, which is across the Summerhill City Village. So there is a proposal, first proposal. So there was very high level design. So this is a study session. There was only idea was to get the feedback from the Planning Commission members and go from there. So it was presented by Sansa Development. Okay, it was over. So they also started with the presentation with some sort of like what's going on across Bishop Branch. They're saying over 8,000 homes are planned in the plan phase, different phases of plan in the Bishop Branch. City work is going to add 4,500 multifamily homes across 5 neighborhoods. Yeah, unless I
Multifamily?
that's what it said. So unless I
So
misunderstood,
duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes.
something like that. Yeah, multifamily. That's what they said. Developing vibrant mixed-use community, including multifamily and single-family homes to accommodate diverse households. Over 1,400 homes received project-specific approval. Some of them, they just give some brief update, like Belmont Village near, this is senior center that's going up over there. Avalon Bay Community Studio to 3-bedroom apartment. Summerhill City Village has welcomed its first residents this year. And again, overall, they're talking about that 5 to 6 years design to delivery occupancy. That's the timeline that we're talking about. Now, they came out to giving more details on Bartlett Park residential. So they're planning for 190 townhomes and single-family homes. Redesigning. So this whole thing is happening by redesigning BR7, which is 276,000 square feet office space. They wanted to demolish that and build 190 townhomes and single-family homes. It is between Camino Ramon, intersection of Camino Ramon and Executive Parkway. So I think there are good discussions, but planning commission members really came up with some good discussion topic and questions. Couple of things really resonates with me. One is the design of this complex or this community looks pretty similar to adjacent other communities. So there are the suggestions. Can we make a change? Can we make look it different? Because again, this is a very preliminary proposals, but it became very apparent to the committee members that they look very similar. So they wanted to ask if they can go back and change especially the front view, so that it look different, so that community, when they move in, they can see with their identity that we live in a different community, not the same thing. Another one thing is with every community design, comes up the traffic. Traffic is a big problem, and rightly so. Planning commission members bring this up over and over again. This traffic is something, and again, it is not the traffic in one community. It is the overall traffic situation of the city when so many communities are coming up, and the parking. There are good number of parking spaces there. I think that's what was proposed and talked about, but. When is the overflow part? There was one interesting discussion happened that said that, as I forgot the name, somebody said that not many people actually park their car inside their garage. And I can see that in my own community. So I can definitely agree with that. If most of the people, and if we go to any other communities, I think that's where you will see a lot of parks. It's not the guest parks that the guest people, guests who are parking there. It's the residents who are parking there outside, and their garages are being used for something different, right? So in that case, the question is, if that is happening, and all the community members are parking their car outside, then what's going to happen to the overflow parking? Where are they going to park? And things like that. So again, this is a very, very preliminary, but these are the very right questions asked. So we'll see on that. And these are the first presentations. And I think some Sunset Development will come back with the updates later. That's it.
Good report. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Any other comment or any other anything else before we enter?
Cars in a garage, we have gone through that, and so my husband has put tape where we aim for so that we don't hit each other, or then we have to clean out all the shelving and everything, so
Right.
for a job.
Right. Oh, one more.
I have a new car, but
One more thing I wanted to add is October 4th, 5th, and 6th is our Durga Puja event from Agumoni. It is in the Bishop Ranch 2700, which is just behind the city center.
Same place where
Same place last year.
Cool.
Same place
That was
last
a good,
year.
that was a good location.
Yeah. And people loved it because everything is very centralized, and also the parking is so close.
And it's easier to
Easier
set up
to-
the booth
yeah.
on the hard surface.
Yeah.
rather than-
Only challenging part is that Bollinger Canyon will be closed in that weekend.
Surfside?
Yeah. So we have to show, I mean, there will be a detour outing, October, yeah, for 1 week, just like in September. So September this week, October on that week as well. Yes. So yeah, we have to direct our traffic that as well. So that will be a challenge. So, but we'll see on that one. But I would request, I will let everybody know, but I will request everybody to drop by. Again, October 4th, 5th and 6th and Bishop Ranch 2700, which is just behind the city center. All right. Okay. Anything else from anybody before we adjourn? So, okay. Thank you, everybody. So we adjourn the meeting today at 9:46 p.m.